I did this spreadsheet like I did in previous years. It runs off a dump that Joanne gives me out of the county system, so we don't have to input numbers, but allows us to use this as a management tool to manage our particular recommendations. So in the past years, we've gone down through, I don't know if you want to do it by account or if there's specific things that people want to talk about, but it's a tool to use.
So,
Do you want to just go down?
so what do you guys
through
think? Just go
offices?
down and, like we did last year, and go through everything and see what everybody agrees on? Or has
Or
questions
disagrees on.
or disagrees on, or, yeah.
How much money are the selectmen setting aside for pay raises? Do you know?
It's already in there. It's 68,000, I think.
And what's that, 3%? or-
3%, which includes, hold on, let me find it, 68,200. It's a 3% pay raise on the salary base with all the retirement, FICA and all that other stuff included.
In that
So-
68?
In the 68. So that's all in there. So in terms of what we give out, we'll have to see. Inflation, you can get all these CPI things. The
Yeah.
last one that I provided to them was 2.3. I've seen 3.3.
Social Security was 2.8.
Yeah, so we have yet to decide how much it is, but that's what the pool is. Durham, I think, just put in 2%, I think. So I'm not
I
sure.
don't know the answer to that.
Well, you can ask your friend tomorrow
I
morning.
won't send them all.
Oh, sorry. All right. Oh, well, never mind. But yeah, that hasn't been decided yet, so.
We only meet 3 Wednesdays a month, we don't meet the first Wednesday.
Oh, you can ask him next week.
You're too late, we've already decided, right?
Well, that's true, that's the 11th. So we want to go down through the selectman's office, anything in there that anybody has any particular issue with? Just send us what has been expended so far. There was nothing overexpended. Election and registration, there's a couple of things that are overexpended already, but
Why?
I don't know. That's a
Election
question.
registration, I don't, what are the lines that are over?
Well, how about if we do the selectman's office, anything in there? Are we okay with everything that's being requested? I'll just move it over,
Yeah, I
nothing?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming increases in pay were what were given last year, so that's why that's a different amount, because it came out of another line item and went into that one.
Yep, what we're doing this year, which we did last year, for the budget we're in right now, we determine what the pay raises are in December. So this particular month, probably sometime in the beginning of the next month, we'll determine what the raises are that will take effect July 1st. So when they put the budget together, that's what will be there. That doesn't, of course, if somebody leaves or comes, it doesn't, but. So then there's no, okay, well, the budget started out with them being 40,000 and now they're 42,000, it gets confusing, so. So in terms of elections and registration, the moderator's salary is already overexpended by
Yeah, what was that?
$125.
How come?
Moderators.
I don't know, we can ask the question, I don't know.
I mean, that's just since July,
Yeah.
right? And we've just had, well, there was a primary and a general election.
That was it.
Did they increase the pay or something for the
Uh,
time spent there, or?
As far as I know, no.
Well, the selectmen would have to increase it.
Yeah, I don't
So
And you guys didn't, did
So
you?
you didn't, so,
know. The other line that's over is election registration ballot clerks. They budgeted 1,300 and they already spent 1,344.78, and we still got March election to come, so.
I'm wondering with the volume, did they have to stay longer or something? Is
I don't
it
know.
by the hour, or?
The ballot clerks are by the hour, but the moderator isn't.
So
So the moderator should have just been flat, like.
you got this too, right? Don't you, or no?
What?
Oh, no, you
Oh,
have
is
this?
this,
Yeah, no, this. The thing she sent.
I've got it on my phone.
Well, I'm just saying, since Tom's in charge,
Yeah.
you can ask why well, how about, do you have it or not?
I thought I printed it, so, but I guess.
If not, we
Oh.
can mark up this one and you can just,
Is this the?
nope, that's from the TCVC.
Okay.
How about if we just mark up this one and you can take this one so you can
Okay.
ask? So like the moderator salary, let's ask, I'm gonna just put an asterisk next to the things.
Okay.
Because those two are over. So, I guess the other ones look okay, I guess. This one's over a little bit, but those are just because the moderator and the ballot clerks, we've got another election and they're already over, so.
Is
So next year, there's no federal or state elections, there's only town meeting. And normally, when that happens, this budget goes down a bit.
Yep. Well, in terms of what they're asking for is down, well, let's see, 600. Moderator stays the same, assistant moderator stays the same. Supervisors of the checklist went down $200. Ballot clerks stayed the same.
What are you looking at?
He has another printout.
Yeah, this is what Julie sent.
Okay.
Did you, she sent it to everybody, I
I
believe.
saw the,
I saw it.
was
I
it
thought
the
you were-
initial one that,
No.
this was part of it? This was like the bottom page and you asked her to combine it or something, or was that
Well,
something different?
That was something different, because
Okay.
that is positions that are new.
Oh,
so
right,
we
how much
know
money?
How
Yeah.
much, so if we say we're not gonna do this, that affects multiple parts of the budget.
Yeah.
So yeah, Alice, the ballot clerks is the same amount next year as it is this year.
Well, I'd like to know why, I guess.
All right, so,
I mean, just because there's only one election next year,
okay,
and you ought to have money in there just in case you wanna call a special town meeting, but geez,
Okay.
Louise, it's not like a primary and a general election, you know?
so you're gonna be asking the questions. So you need to, if you would, ask why this is over, why this one's over, and this is the same amount as being asked this year, but there should be no federal election, so why is it the same amount?
And why is the printing ballots, why did that go up $1,000?
Well, they spent 2,000 out of the 4,000.
Oh, it hasn't gone up, it's gone up, it's
It
gone up
didn't
since
go up,
2008.
yeah.
But geez, that seems like a lot, where you only have one election. I mean, what does it cost to print ballots?
Well,
I think because they had more,
I don't know. Do you want to ask, have them ask,
anticipating more people voting.
do you want to have
Last
them
time.
ask about that too?
Yeah, but not at a town meeting. With a bond issue, they might get more, but no, it won't be like a federal election. Just not that many people participate.
Well, take a look, Alice, in 2018, there was only 3,000 for ballots.
Right. And they sent 2,800.
Yep,
So then this year they budgeted 4,000.
yep, and they spent 2,090 so far. So they'll be close, but if they're next year, they're only having
One
the
election.
town election, they shouldn't need
They shouldn't
4,000.
need $4,000, should they?
I wouldn't think so. So,
And that means that the supervisors of the checklist don't have to sit as many times as well. I mean, if you only have one election, they only have to sit once
yep,
for that election.
So this should be adjusted every 2 years, like,
yeah, it goes,
It
basically.
goes up and down.
Yeah.
and then the whole,
And the ballot clerks is the same thing. If there's only one election,
mhm.
you know, why do we have to? Am I missing something? Is there another election? No, there isn't, not next
We put it
year.
all.
I'm trying to, you keep,
Well,
next year, it goes from 19, July 1st, 19 to June 30, 20.
mhm.
So it would include the primary, the presidential primary.
Yes,
So there would be 2 elections.
So that would.
and the primary sometimes is more costly than,
I don't know why they get the ballots from the state.
oh, they do, they don't print the ballots?
No, they don't print the ballots, are you kidding?
Oh, all right.
The print ours, the ones for the March one.
Yeah.
So-
For the town?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, let's have Tom ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just,
So why over on these two and only the town election, so why do we need $4,000?
Well, right, but there's a primary too.
Oh, and
The
primary.
presidential primary would be in
well, that's,
February.
But those come from the state, so why do
Yes,
we
they
have to
do
print
come
them?
from the
So,
which might have to pay for the ballot clerks to sit another, not
Well,
ballot
that's
clerks,
Right, yeah.
Right.
supervise the checklist.
Well,
To sit twice.
That's just on printing ballots that they're looking
Yeah.
at.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's-
we're talking about it all though, I mean,
Right, they'd have to sit twice. I
Yeah.
mean, for each election, they have to sit at least once. I don't know if it's twice, I can't, before each one, I can't
Well, let
remember.
Tom ask the question and they can explain
Yeah.
it.
So we'll ask, yeah.
Okay.
So I asked Julie that, right? Or who do I ask?
Yeah, you can
Is
ask
it-
her,
yeah,
but
because-
I think it's gonna be Linda. Linda's,
Oh, Linda, okay.
but you can ask Julie and she can.
Yeah.
All right, anything else in registration, and elections and registration? I won't move those over, I'll just leave those, because we don't have answers yet. Tax collector, town clerk. Anything on that? No?
It's the same, right? Didn't do anything.
Nope.
Different.
It's same as what, well,
No-
it's up just a
no
little
delta,
bit.
No change, where?
Software's up $400,
Oh.
But they don't have any control. over that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just.
wages are up just a little bit, office supplies are up $600. Oh, the other thing, just one of the things that was remarked at last night's board meeting, in terms of everything that everybody asked for, it's an 8% increase, and the selectmen aren't gonna be supportive of that. So just be aware that all that stuff that people asked for, we're not gonna approve that kind of an increase. So,
I think that's a good idea, I really do. 'Cause that's a huge increase of what's been requested, I think.
yeah, so, that's just FYI.
But
That
the
doesn't-
major portion of it is the
Salaries.
fire and the
Yeah.
Fire and
police.
police,
So,
and transfer station.
and the transfer station.
transfer station.
Yes, everybody that's on that. Those are all the
So,
increases.
Well, I personally think, I would support all of those if they were done by separate warrant article and let the town decide on each one of them. You know,
Because you got the additional overtime in the police department, which is only gonna be 5,000 if you approve the full-time person.
yeah, that's probably not true, though.
You got-
Experience tells me.
A full-time and a part-time in the fire department. A pay increase for the transfer station, which, I don't necessarily consider that. Part of this particular, because it's not necessarily the newest, it's a pay increase.
I just think if you're gonna add personnel, that the legislative body ought to decide on it, and not hidden in a $4 million budget, and just be done by special warrant article, and if they pass it, great. If they don't, okay, you know how they feel.
Mhm. And then the transfer station's a new one and a part-time, an increase for the part-time, or decrease in the part-time, taking actually a part-time person made them full-time.
Yeah,
Which adds to the other parts of the budget.
right, retirement.
yeah,
And,
See, if I had my rubbers, everything would show in the individual department budget rather than,
I don't think you can do that with the state form, you know?
Well,
The state is the state is the one who set up the chart of accounts.
You can do,
there's a lot of municipalities where the cost of the insurance, the retirement,
Well, you
the
could do
social
that, Brian.
security are within the department budget.
I mean, you could, that's pretty easy to do if the
But
town
then it
wanted
gives
to
you
do.
real, then you don't have this
Right,
administrative budget that keeps going all over the place because of the
yeah,
associated costs. I've always thought that, I advocated that back when you and I were there,
yeah, yeah,
but they didn't wanna do it because,
yeah.
well, we've done that before, but the problem is when you deal with health insurance, it's a HIPAA thing, we can't, because many of our departments are one person, so you can
It's a
tell what kind of
privacy
insurance
issue.
they have, it's a privacy issue. So, if we had a large department, everybody had like 8, 10 people in every department, then yeah, you can stick it in there, because then you can't tell, but, like, for instance, code enforcement, you know what kind of insurance that Karen gets, which you can't do that, you can't have that information available.
Nobody can? Why is that confidential? Is it
Because
expensive?
it's part of
to do?
HIPAA, you can't release in terms of what kind of insurance somebody has.
What's HIPAA?
HIPAA,
HIPAA.
the health, I don't know what it
Yeah,
stands for.
Privacy
Is
Act.
this a federal statute?
Yeah,
So that if I went in and asked whether or not you had insurance, which you would be entitled to buy through the town because you're an elected official, they wouldn't tell me.
Nope.
anything
about the right to
related to
know?
health.
They could
or
tell you that I had insurance,
issues.
but they couldn't tell you what kind of insurance I had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Anything about what you've treated for, or that's all a big part of it.
Well, they don't know that.
That's all a big part of HIPAA.
so,
Where did we get?
Bills even,
Where
like,
did we get that interpretation of HIPAA from?
our legal people, because we've gone over this before, because I would want what you're talking about, and we tried to do it, but then we got into this whole thing about the medical insurance. And for departments that are big, like the police department, we could show it in there, that would be fine, because there's just so many people. But when you get in departments that only have one person, like back when we did it, the
Well, couldn't
library
you
had
lump
one
them like-
person. So you can tell what kind of insurance the librarian has, and you can't do that. So you can do it
and
on
you
some
can't
departments.
separate out the larger departments and then pool the smaller, or is that just too cumbersome?
Well, that then
That
throws it.
defeats the purpose.
Defeats the purpose of
That defeats
everything.
the- that defeats the-
Because you still have a part of it that's, yeah.
All right, so tax collector, we all set? Move those
Yeah,
over?
Everybody's good?
Yeah.
And those,
So we're okay on tax collector, that's what I was saying.
I think so, but financial administration?
To me, it's
What
fine.
office?
I mean,
I mean-
what the only increase is in what? Probably software.
No,
Trainings increed by about
$500.
Oh, training's fine. They should get as much training as they can.
Finance officers,
I don't see any other increases.
It's only $500,
Okay.
that's it.
that's it.
No, I think that's fine,
Yeah.
don't you?
All set?
Check.
IT expenses,
What's the, any increase?
So on her report, how much have we spent on computer hardware, new equipment, to date, this year?
Yeah, because it's at $8,000.
computer hardware, we've spent $27,1376.
So $2,700.
2,000, yeah, 713.
Yep.
So,
And they made it more this year. 2018, it was only 3,000.
so do we need that 8? Is that what you're?
I don't know, I mean, maybe Julie has some equipment that she has to buy that isn't reflected yet in that budget.
I don't remember that. So how about if we star that, and you can ask in terms of, have her give us a list of what it is?
Yeah, and why, computer services, is that,
Well, it's computer services and there's
I know about the
software
other
support
one.
services.
I mean, there's computer hardware,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's computer services, which is up $10,000.
And computer software support's up almost 5,000.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Hmm?
I think that's a lot.
She gave us a list of the software.
500?
No.
Computer software, oh, software support.
Well, that's software support,
I see, yeah.
not software.
The computer services, didn't she give us a list? Seems like, because one of those is,
Computer services.
the
did
accounting
she talk to
software?
Talk to us about that? I don't know.
well, how about if you ask, have her give us a list of computer services that makes up to 55, and a list of the
Support services.
software support services.
And computer hardware, you said?
Yep. What's
And you
in
said
that?
computer services
Mhm.
and software support services.
Yep. Just see if she can give us a list of what's in there.
Is that line, that IT is,
14 something,
yeah,
no, 15.
to 81.6 to 96.5.
Yep.
Or 86.6?
Hmm?
Or is it, or where are we? Oh, 81.6, yeah.
Yep.
To 96.5, oh, yeah.
Okay. Assessing?
So did we go out to bid on assessing?
We're still in that 3-year thing, I think next
Oh.
year it is,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So tell me what the mileage is for in assessing.
Not sure off the top of my head.
For them, driving out to each house or something? They're paying
Well, the
their
assessing
mileage?
firm, we wouldn't be paying them.
They would include that, right?
They go,
in
I
the
mean, that's
cost.
included in their, you know, their contract, whatever mileage they're doing. They've considered that.
Well, we can ask.
Assessing mileage. Question.
And did the tax maps get updated every year, Scott? Do you know?
I don't know, I don't think, not every year, I don't think so. That's the stuff that Karen does, I think. Karen, maybe it's not, no, I'm thinking of something else, never mind. You can ask that about that too, probably for another.
Tax maps?
Yeah, the next line up. Well, it looks like there was no budget in 18, but then there was an expense.
Right.
In 19, so far there's been no expense,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think they're done every year.
Is that something that's at Stratford Regional Planning?
I know, that's what I was wondering, because she was
Under
talking about
assessing.
cutting that.
Well, we have to pay for it anyways.
Why would?
Oh, so you have to pay for it anyway, so that's what she was saying. So why pay that dues or whatever it was?
Mm.
Because you
Well,
don't get anything for
Ask
it.
that
Okay.
question, when were the, looks like the last update in FY 18, are they due to be updated when?
Yeah, I'm just curious, and then, yeah,
All right. Legal fees?
well, you need to have legal fees, you know.
I know I'm not.
Do you need, how come Fairpoint isn't resolved yet?
Well, I was gonna ask what that is. I probably asked that last year too, but.
I'm not an expert, but what's happened is, we tax their polls, and there's different methods to do it. Some people have assessors come in and they assess polls. We just use the rate thing that comes from DRA. So Fairpoint says that's unfair, that's not right, so they took us to court, and a whole bunch of towns cut together, and so it's a group thing. I don't remember which judge it was, one of them in the Superior Court sided with Fairpoint. So we got notified that we owe Fairpoint $250,000 in back taxes that we've overtaxed them. They came to us and asked and said, oh, we have a deal for you. If you accept this plea bargain, we'll drop the case and then just move forward with the new rates. And our attorneys told us that, you know, don't do that. Don't accept that.
Why?
Because they don't think that that particular decision will stand up.
At the Supreme Court?
Yeah, so they're going to appeal it. So, but we have this $250,000 kind of thing sitting out there. So, but the case continues. We're not the only litigants, we're part of this consortium, so whatever the expenses are, they portion it out, so. But it's not
Group
done.
of towns.
But you do have this $250,000 abatement hanging over your head.
Right.
That's already been awarded by the Superior Court.
Yep.
And upon which you have to pay interest until you pay
I
it.
don't know, I don't know about that.
That's the normal thing. It's
I-
6%.
I don't know.
Okay.
But either way, it's sitting out there as a,
Now, I'm gonna ask another.
But the
dumb question.
250,000 is separated, is divided amongst the towns.
No,
that are
that's
still-
what we owe.
us. That's just us.
That's what we owe.
That's-
And what kind of loss is that in terms of assessed value? I mean, was that, did they lower the assessment by 10% or 20%? Do you know?
I don't know that.
Okay,
I don't know that.
okay.
Most of the poles in this town are owned by power companies,
Well,
because this is a power
50-50.
company set.
50-50, I think. 50% public service and 50% New England town used to be.
Also, it's-
Is that how the ownership goes? Because
About that, I think.
Because we were, and I was always very thankful for it, and we still are, this is a power company set, so if a pole was broken, power company has to set it, and if you look at the pole, it's got the power
Right,
company's
it does,
insignia on
Yeah.
it, saying they own the pole.
right, yeah.
And that's the only place Fairpoint would have any poles that have a Fairpoint insignia on them are places where the power company doesn't run power, which is,
The one at the bottom of my driveway is, well, it says New England Tel on it.
The poles that we have, the flags and stuff on, that there's like 3 or 4 down here and then down North River Road and then Mass Road, they're a combination of Co-op, New England Telephone, which is Fairpoint,
Yeah,
and Eversource. So when we got permission, we had to ask all of the entities if we could do that. Co-op said, they don't have a form. They said, okay, you want to put up things? Fine, go ahead. Eversource has a form you have to fill out. The Fairpoint, yeah, there's a form you have to fill out, but that's like for almost ever. Eversource is the only one that's kind of anal, you have to do it every single year. But those poles, those 12 poles, they're owned by 3 different entities, so,
there's still power company sets, but
yeah.
yeah,
apparently they all have a share of the ownership.
Well, if the telephone pole was there first and then Eversource wanted to use it, it's still their pole, they share. So, but, yeah, so Fairpoint's not done. The general, of course, is for our other ongoing issues,
right.
so,
McDonald parking lot.
No, McDonald's not there.
and-
No, McDonald's into planning.
That's
and
in,
zoning.
under something else, oh.
It's in planning and
So what are
zoning.
the other general,
just in terms of things that come up,
Sure, yeah.
just anything?
We have to be able to consult an attorney from time to time about things,
yeah, so,
yeah.
And so 15,000,
well, last year we spent 17, and this year we're up to 41.
100,
Yeah,
oh, jeez, yeah, I was like,
but it's half the year,
Right.
but you never know,
right.
okay, so,
somebody can sue us. The latest thing,
So-
there's
so-
something, and I don't have all the details, there's something with Market Basket.
Yes,
Going on.
I saw that. It's in Superior Court, is it not?
I think so.
It went to
Isn't it
Superior
for
Court a few
taxes?
years ago, and the town lost,
So I don't,
right?
I haven't heard.
And so
any
now they've
updates.
taken you back, because
Yeah.
their vacancy rate must have increased, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, they're
Oh, it
disputing
is?
the assessment.
see the storefronts? I mean, they have like 2
Well,
or 3 or 4,
That are vacant,
yeah,
and have been vacant, like
Right.
Radio Shack has been vacant forever.
I
right.
talked to the lady that ran the card place,
Mhm.
Yeah,
closed
Hallmark.
like 2 years ago, and she said she wasn't leaving because the business was poor. She said they jacked up her rent so high, it like forced her out. She couldn't afford
Oh, I
it.
see. I didn't know
So-
that.
And there was another issue, her heating and cooling system needed to be replaced,
And they
and it
wanted
was
her.
like $55,000
Oh,
to
jeez.
do that. And Market Basket said it's her responsibility
Responsibility?
of the owner of the store.
Just didn't make sense.
So
That doesn't make
they
sense.
couldn't do that, and so they said, okay, we'll leave it.
Heck with it. So,
So-
we okay with legal fees?
Yeah, but I am curious, are the selectmen setting aside money in case they lose the Fairpoint one?
The idea, that's one of the reasons that I wasn't against taking so much money out of the
The
unreserved
surplus.
fund balance,
Yeah.
unassigned fund balance. Because right now, there's about $2 million in there, and we've had this policy that we keep at least 1.5, so we could take the 250,000 out of that. But John's usually the one that wants more money taken out, less money taken out, and we were flipped this last time. He wanted 300 and I wanted less, so we compromised at 250, so.
So that's as
That's
that's as of June 30th, right?
June 30th, 2018, yes,
Yes, okay, that there's a $2 million surplus,
about.
yeah, okay,
It's 2,016,000, something like that.
okay.
And that's what you're talking about to be like taxes. So you don't increase taxes as much, you say, what was
That's,
250 into,
no, well,
To
we didn't
reduce
take any
that?
out, yes, we didn't take any more out. So there's
In
still
other words,
two-
you've already paid that money.
Right, so, and the thing
Okay.
is, they were offering us, it was 100 and some odd thousand, they were offering us to a settlement.
Of 100 and some odd thousand,
Yeah, 137 or something like that, it was like almost half,
okay.
but.
But what did they want in return for that? They wanted you to what? To
continue using the rates that were agreed upon, or not agreed upon, but the court set in terms of going forward, which would also reduce our revenue going forward.
Which means they think they're gonna lose.
No, it's not gonna reduce your revenue, it's taxes, it's just mean other people are gonna pay more,
Oh, that's true, yes.
Yeah.
that's all, yeah.
Well, we reduce the money we get from them. So
Right,
maybe other people have to pay for it.
right, exactly, yeah.
But we didn't,
Their customers
they didn't.
Yeah.
are gonna pay more, right? Yeah.
Well, somebody's,
Well, not necessarily their customers, but property owners are gonna pay more,
so,
all right?
Right, yeah.
I would say, no.
all right. So, anything else with legal? Nope.
No,
I think we're good.
And I'm not moving assessing over, right? Because we have questions.
yeah, well, my questions are sort of minor, I'm
Updating, how
just
often are
curious.
updating the tax maps? I mean, is it gonna make any,
I don't know, I can move those numbers over if we want. We can do anything we want, but,
Yeah, I'm just
What do you
curious.
think?
I don't, I have no problem with the amounts, I'm just curious as to what mileage,
okay,
what they're spending the mileage on. Or
Okay.
are they doing their tax maps every year?
okay, I'll move those over. And this is
Yeah.
our first pass, so when we come back next week, I'll have updated sheets, we can go through those again, so this is not the last time we're talking about them, so.
and I can
Yep,
email Julie and ask these
Yep.
questions.
and you can send it to us, the responses, as long as we don't get into a discussion about them, just provide the information, so we'll have it.
Okay.
Personnel administration?
So these, the figures that are in here, like under group 2 retirement,
Mm-hmm.
that includes the new persons?
Yep. Um,
And what rate do we have to pay for them? Is it 33?
Ooh, that's not on the sheet, that's on other sheets that she gave us.
How much do they contribute to, do you know?
Police are 28.43, fire is 30.09, general is 11.17. Add to that, FICA for police and fire are 1.45, and general is 7.65.
Paying FICA on police now?
That's
No.
what she's doing now. That's what it
I don't think
says.
so.
No.
They're
No.
exempt, I think.
Well,
Police and fire are full-time.
that's what she says.
Well,
But that could be the part-time people.
but there's no part-time police, so there shouldn't be any on the police.
There's
There are part-time fire.
Could be part-time fire right now.
All right,
There's
like an ask.
part-time fire. There's no part-time police? I thought he does have part-time police.
No. He
Well,
had one,
yeah,
but that one's gone.
well, now he's got another one though.
He has one because he's asking for them to go to full,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing
Well,
that he's.
actually, that guy is, my understanding, I have to go back all through the notes. But he has one guy right now that's working 29,
Right.
working 39
9
hours a week.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get benefits, but it really is a full-time position.
Well, he's entitled to retirement. Because if you work 32 hours a week,
Oh,
I
here
I
it is.
agree with you, but
okay,
somehow or other.
It's not, the police department's not the whole FICA, it's Medicare.
yeah, they have to pay Medicare.
That's that's what the
1.45
1.45 is.
All right, that, they have to pay the Medicare, but they
Right,
don't.
But not social
Not
security.
not the 8.717.
7.65.
Was it
7.65?
7.65?
Yes,
7.65.
there it is. So it's, they have to pay the medical.
So that doesn't come out of police. That does not come out of full-time police and full-time fire.
Why
That's
does not?
not what she's.
Social security.
No
No,
social
No
security,
social security.
but Medicare, they have to pay, you know,
Yes.
that's charged on their whole salaries.
Yes.
All right. So, anything else in health insurance? Excuse me, financial administration?
Personnel administration?
Oh, excuse me, geez. Personnel administration, yes.
Okay.
So the police retirement would include switching to that part-time person to a full-time position, is that right?
Yes.
Now, how come they're not paying retirement already? I thought the law was 32 hours a week. If you work more than 32 hours a week, you're entitled to retirement benefits.
That's not included in here. She's not showing any retirement being charged now for that.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think I'm right.
Ask the question?
Retirement group 2 police, is that what we're under?
You've got this, ask her why there's no retirement being charged to this person.
If he's
Did you get
working
that?
more than 32 hours a week.
Yep,
This?
yep.
Okay.
So ask her why there's no retirement in that, because that's
This
him.
36?
Yeah, that's him as a part-time person, the one up above is when he goes to full-time, so that's differentiation.
So, and why would pay in lieu of vacation go up? Have you included somebody else? I mean, Randy's gone, so he can't, and he,
More people are eligible now.
oh, God, I thought you guys were gonna do away with this.
John wants to get rid of it, I want to get rid of it, but when we talked about getting rid of it, tons of employees showed up and said, don't get rid of it. So we caved.
So you caved.
Now,
When they come out of the woodwork, we listen to Alice.
now, is maybe the fact that that guy is not, I haven't got that sheet, so.
You don't have that sheet?
I'm asking a dumb
You
question.
could take a peek.
I know they're not paying him medical benefits. That
For-
car.
So you mean
Oh.
health insurance? Is that what you mean? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because,
Well, it's a state law, I thought, that if you worked more than 32 hours a week, you had to be recovered by a retirement program.
That's correct. That may have changed slightly. Recently, they may have lowered it. What they did is they played around with it this year.
But they would make it 29 or 28 hours, wouldn't they? I mean, because the New Hampshire retirement system is so broke.
What they did is they also, though, allowed people to work a larger number of, it was a fixed number of hours a year.
I see, instead of a weekly
Or,
thing. Okay.
or you could pick and choose which one you wanted.
Okay.
That's because they caved to the places like Hampton Beach that
Okay.
need all the part-time guys in the summer,
Yeah,
and they want more hours, but they
Makes
get rid of
sense.
them all in the winter.
yeah.
And, you know, that's, but I don't know the exact numbers, Alice, they went to. I know, I get the
Okay.
report, but I
Yeah,
don't,
yeah.
they made it so, and anybody coming on has to go by the new rules. Anybody that's already on under the old rule can stay under the old rule.
So if somebody changes departments, what happens? Like if
They
somebody
come under
goes,
the new rule.
okay, okay.
well, Tom will ask.
But you know, if they drop
So
it
this is
from
what I'm
32 to 30,
Why no
anybody that's there
retirement
at
for this
32, as long as they don't
Yep,
change
officer,
departments, can stay at
part-time,
32.
That's
But it says
39
right-
hours, isn't it,
39.
32 hours
Yeah.
for retirement?
Yeah, yeah.
What he did is he got rid of the part-time guy,
The guy from Manchester.
who was from Durham originally.
He was from Durham originally.
He was
Anything?
reason he left
Where would
Durham.
it show?
We'll
Where
show.
should it be?
Right there.
Right here.
I suspect Tom figured it out after he.
Because that's what
Because
his
this is
retirement.
retirement for,
when he
I'll
goes
say no
full-time.
more.
That's what that's being proposed. So in terms of the differentiation, in terms of costs, there should be a cost there, that's what Brian and.
so it wouldn't be that as significant.
Yeah, because right now it's a difference of 44,000.
The one thing I'm asking, and she may say, and is because of that new rule that allows you to clamp the hours in,
Mm-hmm,
say it's 1,700 hours a year,
yeah,
he may have come on late enough that it working
not for this year.
39 hours this year.
Right,
He's
but when it
okay,
hits
'cause
January, it's a new,
I don't know, I think it may
And
be,
by that time, they're asking for him to go
it may
that
be,
wouldn't happen until July.
until July, so.
is it the retirement
So it still
system
should show something.
works on a calendar year versus, or can you choose to go to both, either one?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think he may be able to choose, so the guy may be all right until June 30,
Okay.
maybe.
I want to ask about workers' comp too. If we're gonna hire a new fireman and another position and a new policeman,
Yep,
it seems like to me that the workers' comp will go up, because those are risk positions, you know, that would affect our modifier,
The modification rate.
yeah. And so I don't think that's enough, I guess.
The real risk is, police are far lower risk than
Where are we at?
firefighters.
Right,
What
firefighters are,
page?
what about highway? Is there a new guy in highway too?
he replaced Randy.
Where's
No, but I thought there was some discussion about
Workers'
mowing the
compensation.
fields or something, that the highway department was gonna have to hire somebody to do that, correct?
To do the what? The
Mowing of the fields and the cemeteries and all
Oh,
of
no, we're
I
still,
think they
we're still doing
resolved
that.
that,
We're
right?
still doing
Yeah.
that.
that. Who's,
We're not digging holes anymore.
but the highway department is still mowing, okay.
They're still mowing. We're
You're just not digging the holes, the issue was about holes,
For
It's always been about the
the,
holes.
for the casket.
yeah.
Yeah,
A big-
full
a big-
burial,
A big hole.
full
They'll
burial.
still do the
Doesn't Ricky dig 'em?
cremations.
Not anymore, because there's not so many. His insurance costs about $1,200
I
so that
see.
he can do that.
Yeah,
But the thing is, he only charges the town $100, so he has to do 12 just to break even. He's not been doing 12 the last few years, so he's been like something.
well, so why doesn't he charge you guys more?
I
For his
think-
equipment and whatnot, he should be charging $150, $200 an hour.
I think it's a combination of two things. One, he doesn't want to do it anymore. Two, his brother's not in charge anymore.
Got it, okay.
So,
And
Ricky,
besides, Ricky's leaving.
Yeah.
so, oh, he's leaving, where's he going?
I heard he was moving.
Oh, ooh,
Really?
we knew
Yeah.
that. Oh, other thing.
He just got together with Suzanne. Are they moving together somewhere?
That's my understanding.
Okay. They
Um,
decided they're gonna,
Miriam Banks resigned as one of the cemetery trustees.
oh,
this
she
month.
did?
Yep.
Oh,
She had enough of that stuff.
okay.
Who resigned?
Miriam Banks.
I'm gonna need to
Oh,
talk to the new person
okay.
for my father and mother. It's gonna be
Well,
coming up
you
this
gotta
summer.
talk to the Neals. They're still there, so.
The
Until
the
March.
Neils?
Yep,
Okay,
Until March,
Jackie and Jan.
okay.
Well,
because she's not running again, she told me.
she says she's not running for moderator. I didn't hear that she wasn't running for cemetery trustee.
She told me both,
Okay.
but, you know, who knows, she could change her mind. I don't think so, though, her house is on the market,
Yep,
you know.
Everybody tells you everything. We just
Just
gotta
'cause she
ask
asks.
you.
Well, I've been talking to him, that's all.
So-
You know, the other thing I've never liked is this health insurance buyout.
oh, yep,
And why did it go up $8,000?
because more people are doing it.
Jeez.
So
But it
basically,
ultimately saves us because
that's the idea.
they don't,
Well, they have the wrong attitude towards it. To me, it's a benefit that the town gives to their employees. And if they don't use it, fine. But if they do use it, fine as well.
you're saying don't give the buyout.
I don't think there should be a buyout, no, I don't. But that's just my opinion.
But doesn't the buyout save you money in the long run?
No, but it
Well,
doesn't
she's
really.
saying if they
If they decide to
either
get their
take the
health,
benefits or they don't,
I know,
but
but if they take the benefits,
they're more likely not to take them if there's a buyout.
Well, the thing is, let's say, for instance,
Right.
married couple.
Theoretically.
right,
The husband works someplace else, the wife
Right.
works here. He can take insurance from his place and she can
Right.
take insurance from here.
Right.
Then nothing stops them
Right.
from doing that.
I know.
So,
But if he takes
And
a
then they-
family plan at his place, because he gets it for free, it's to our benefit to pay the buyout, because it's less than the actual insurance.
how
Yeah,
much do you pay for each buyout? Do you know?
or if it's not free,
it's a
maybe
percentage.
they
It's a
think,
percentage.
okay, the buyout will help pay for some of his benefits and they can have the family plan.
Because I
You know what I
believe,
mean?
because I believe the buyout, if somebody takes, let's say, your example, husband takes group and the wife works here and she takes just the single, which she doesn't pay anything for. It's my understanding that the buyout is less cost to us than paying for her single. So it makes sense for us. In terms of Alice's example, which would work out great for us, is if that example, the husband takes the group insurance, the family insurance, and the wife doesn't take anything for us, then we make out like bandits.
Yeah, exactly.
But what forces her to do that?
Nothing.
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 Just,
You can take both.
she's nice.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like us to look at is pay in lieu of vacation. This 15,376 is if everybody that's eligible took it, and not everybody always takes it.
How many people are now eligible?
I think like 6.
6.
She gave us a list, and I, of course, I'm not gonna
So
do it.
what's the rule, 10 years?
10 years,
Is when
and they
you-
gotta
when you
have
vest?
enough time to take, so we've got some employees that don't have 2 weeks or don't have a week.
So how much can they accrue?
There's a limit, I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay.
There's one of these salary sheets. I can't find it right off the top of my head, but,
So,
you guys don't have
pay
it?
in lieu of vacation,
I'd like to make it $10,000.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, because everybody's not gonna take it. And if they do take it out of the surplus. How's that?
So let's make that 10,000.
But
so,
we have to vote on it, don't we?
Well, we're just doing this, we're not voting on the budget.
Right, okay, yeah.
Because really, it would be nice if the other two ladies were here too.
Yeah, it would
have
be,
their
yeah,
comments.
yeah.
It should be
Let's see
here
what
next
she's
time.
done.
Hmm? Anything else in personnel?
So you can move that over, or
Yep,
are we waiting?
Yep, I'll
Okay.
move that, if everybody's okay.
Yeah.
And just, I'll make the pay in lieu of vacation 10,000.
Well, I don't know if we wanna move it over yet, because we haven't decided whether those full-time positions are in yet.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, no,
Not
no,
going
no,
to.
no, I agree with you.
Are going to what?
If we're gonna.
Whether they're gonna pass or not.
Yeah, but that wouldn't affect this one, right?
Of course it would.
Payment in lieu of vacation?
If-
Right.
No,
No,
I'm
no,
talking
no.
about the whole, he wants to move
The whole section.
the whole section
Oh, I
over.
see, yeah, I agree about that, yeah, because there's retirement questions for sure, yeah. I
Planning
agree.
and zoning, she's up
Maybe-
$800, 700.
Next year, where are we? Oh, to.
Yeah, put it on the next
Down
page.
the line, so you don't
So
have
tell
to
me how
pay
much of the
zoning.
30 grand, Scott, how much of the 30 grand have they used this year for legal expense so far? Do you know?
Yep, it's here. They've spent 11,400.
And is that all on McDonald?
I would say a lot of it is.
Because I heard her mention the other day that Bedrock Gardens, is there litigation about that?
Yep.
You're in court about that?
Not in court, but litigation in terms of them going before the planning board and the ZBA. So
Okay.
there's legal expenses with those particular
Sure,
things, getting
yeah,
opinions and
yeah.
stuff
Where you're
like that.
getting advice from your attorney, right?
Yeah, I asked him, not at this last board meeting, but the time before. John usually gives us an update. So he was telling us, and I said, well, I thought that was all done. He says, no, we're still arguing with them. Because they want to put in the parking lot that's right at that kind of,
I know, right, where the curve is, right?
yeah,
Who are we talking about? This-
Bedrock Gardens,
Oh, gotcha, okay, yeah.
across from the Jennison,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But they want to put in that parking line, that little triangle, just as you're coming up High Road, after you do that little,
So you sort of go straight instead of take the curve, right?
yeah, you go straight.
Yeah, to the
So,
parking lot. yeah.
But I thought that was done, but no, they're still disagreeing. They need to do a traffic study. And of course, the residents there, they don't want all kinds of traffic down there, so,
Well, if they put it in there won't be any traffic on High Road. I mean, no, they won't be coming down to High
well,
Road.
they'll still have to deal with it when they're coming out to go, you know.
Mm.
You'd be kind of angry if you had to sit there and wait for 5 minutes because all the traffic coming out of an event or something like that.
I wouldn't be angry about it. I mean, after the way High Road used to be, when you had to come out onto 125,
Oh.
right at 125 and 152, it was just about the same.
Is it shorter for you to go down Birch Road and then out to 125 that way?
Depends on where I'm going. If I'm going to Epping, it's definitely shorter.
Definitely shorter.
To do what?
I take Birch Hill Road instead of
And
going.
go down to whatever, the old 125, whatever they're calling it now, North River Road, I
Yeah,
guess.
North River Road, yeah. I go down there, yeah.
Is
I try to stay off 125 as much as I can anyway.
Does
since I think
anybody
It's a death trap.
Finish the road going through to Epping? Has Epping done the road from your house
No,
towards Epping?
no. I understand,
It's
maybe,
like dirt, isn't it? There's one.
maybe 15 years ago, there was a proposal for a subdivision that was abutting my property. And I went and spoke to the selectmen because they were gonna have to lay out the road, which was closed. And then I asked them if they knew about the bridge at High Road. I mean, if the
Oh,
old
yeah.
bridge were at High Road right now, it would be flooded.
Mm.
That, the North River is so high, I've never seen it as high as it is right now. And I brought that up, and plus it sort of changes the definition of high road. It's no longer like a subdivision road, which is what it is now, because it dead ends. And the board of selectmen in Epping voted not to make it be class 5, they wouldn't do it, so it's still class 6.
But can you still get through or not?
The road is deteriorated,
The answer to the question is yes.
you can get through, but you have to be in a high vehicle,
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, it can't be in something.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But-
yeah.
All right.
You can't be in, what are those Chevrolet things called?
Because it's about a month ago, I went through
Oh, okay, all right.
In the truck?
in an Explorer.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
you
high
can
enough.
explore it, yeah.
All right,
There
so,
there was a new proposal too, for the land across from my house, where they clear cut all that land. There's 100 acres there, 40 in Lee and 60 in Epping.
yeah,
And he wanted to subdivide, and the town of Epping told him, well, you can subdivide, but you have to build Class 6 section, you have to start from scratch, you have to do blasting, you have to, it's gonna cost $1 million to put that road in. So he backed right off. And of course, his proposal was to use the Lee, High Road in Lee as his access, which I, of course, protested. What are they gonna send, an Epping cop? What about an ambulance, you know? I mean, that was crazy. Lee was gonna end up having to do all those things, really. So that sort of died. I haven't heard any more about that at all.
All right, anything else with planning and zoning? Not really? Can we move it over or
Everybody all
not?
set?
Well, what are we doing with Stratford?
Oh, yeah, that's in there.
The regional plan,
Regional planning.
before you get too quick on moving stuff over here.
I forgot that was in there.
So do we wanna,
Sounds like we should take it out.
yeah,
I don't think so.
you don't think so?
I think what should be checked is the legal standing that Stratford Regional Planning Commission has. Because there are some grants that if you want, you have to go through Stratford Regional to get them. And the regional planning commissions were changed, what, maybe 15, 18 years ago?
But didn't Karen answer that and said you don't have to?
I think the statute should be checked about it. What's the impact of leaving Stratford Regional? And why would we leave? Why would we want a regional planning commission?
What do we get for the $5,300?
Right.
We get a regional approach, do we not? I mean, when
What
there's.
she was
when-
saying was you can still use it and still use them
But
and
you won't
still
be-
pay for
Yeah,
what
but
you
you'll be a
need to pay
second-class
for,
citizen.
but
Will you not? I mean,
You're not
the
a
people who are in it
member.
are gonna get first dibs before any other town that's not in it.
And she
And it
said,
just sort of destroys the sense of regional planning if we back out of it, I think. I don't think it's a good idea to back out, I really don't.
well, how about if we keep it as a question mark? Is there anything, who can we talk to?
Well, we could call,
Sis?
we could talk to Stratford Regional. Who's our representative to Stratford Regional, do you know?
Ooh, I don't know, I think it's Karen.
Oh.
I don't know off the top of my head, but they got a new director. Her name is Sis,
that won't help.
CYZ,
CYZ?
Sis.
Aha. I just don't think it's a good idea, I really don't.
Well,
So I'd like some more answers about it. Now, maybe I could go read the statutes, yes, I could do that, but I don't know if I will or not. I think I'll call Stratford Regional and ask them.
okay, well, yeah, her
Is
name
that all right?
is Sis.
See what the benefits are and,
Yeah.
CYZ. Okay.
What's their mission statement, for example, you know?
Okay. All right.
So
How
I
about
don't
if I
think we should
move,
move that over yet.
well, I can move everything but that.
Yeah. And what's the overtime for? Is that for Karen?
Yeah.
So she's paid on an hourly basis, not a salary basis, right?
We've checked into that. The nature of her job,
Yeah, she doesn't have
she's
anybody
not a
working on it.
salaried employee because people other than herself dictate her job and how long she works and stuff.
Yeah.
So. Government.
I'm just gonna write, Alice, you're gonna call,
Yeah, I'll call Stratford Regional.
okay.
Government buildings.
Mhm.
Electricity.
It's up $400.
So, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
The whole budget item is up $400?
Yeah, that particular count's up
Pretty
$400.
hard to, whoops.
Yeah.
Looks like most of it's on electricity.
Hmm.
I have no problem.
Yeah, there's a little section on the next.
What's M and R? Excuse me for not knowing.
Maintenance and repair.
Oh, okay.
So it's things that break, things that need to get fixed.
We use 17 and we have 20.
Yeah.
So,
The uniforms are for custodial,
Staff.
custodial.
Yeah, staff.
Not the
Building
rest of the
maintenance.
Huh?
Building maintenance staff, how about that? Yes, we don't do custodial, we do building maintenance, which is the same thing.
So when the Energy Committee asked for that $9,900 a couple of years ago,
Hmm?
was that held over from year to year? I mean, do they still have access to that money?
No, that's gone, but we spent it on the swap shop and the electrical changes,
Okay,
so that's gone.
so that's totally gone. Only so it's $5,000 spent in 2018, that's all.
201, where is it?
And the second column, in fiscal 2018, we only spent 5,000 of the 9,900. Isn't that what this sheet is showing you?
What are you looking at?
Where are you?
I'm
We're
on
up.
page 5 of 14 pages.
Oh, 5, yep.
5, okay.
All right, under the second column,
Yep.
fiscal 2018 activity, at the
Energy.
bottom, energy
5,000.
committee, they spent 5,000
Yep.
of the 9,900. Did the rest of it get spent this year?
I
do you
don't
know?
think so. I
And
don't
how
think
could
so.
it?
The
I mean-
5,000 was for the swap shop thing.
And so was it held over? Was it voted to hold it over, or what?
It was spent in the year that it was supposed to be spent in.
And the rest of it went
Went into the general fund?
Yeah, because they already did, I think they did the other stuff previous,
What other stuff?
like,
I don't know what you mean.
Toby took out the pole that they were gonna take out, which saved us some money, and he already did that,
In 2018?
I believe, yeah, he already did that.
Well, I'm just curious, so the other $4,900 went into the general fund, would that be fair to say?
Ooh, I don't know, I can't tell you that.
Out of that 9,900,
100.
like, where did the other?
Well, I'm just curious, because I thought wasn't there discussion about changing the lights in this building
That's not in
Yeah.
there though.
and
All
all of
those,
that?
all those things that the energy committee did for the 9,900 were at the transfer station.
Okay, and it's all spent, or it's gone?
It's
You know,
all,
it doesn't exist anymore?
yeah, because they.
Okay, so do they need more than 1,500? Did they come to,
That's what I was wondering.
did they come to the
It's
budget
going down.
committee? Did I miss it? Was I
Energy
asleep or
committee,
something?
Yes, he was, what's his name? The guy with glasses, medium height.
Yeah,
I'm spacing on his name. He did come. I don't remember what he asked for. I don't have that.
well, could we just check and see? I
Yeah,
mean,
look at
because
it.
if they need more money to change the light bulbs in here or whatever it is they
Well-
have to do.
That is a separate thing.
Okay, is that somewhere budgeted though?
No,
It's not budgeted,
Calm.
not yet, and do we know how much it's gonna cost?
no. They're
I
still
see.
doing that. They've
Okay.
been doing that for 2 years now.
Conservation, heritage,
Well, you
recreation.
can't act too fast.
Because part of it is finding out exactly what we're gonna do. And then, when that particular thing is set, having the power companies check it to see how much of a rebate we get.
Mhm.
Because until you have the plan, they're not gonna tell you how much you're gonna get back.
I see. And that has nothing to do with solar or anything, that just has to do with changing, what are these?
I thought there was a contract led on that, because I thought there was some kind of a disagreement. And finally, the board agreed with Julie and led the contract.
Some of the board agreed with Julie and signed the contract.
And so the contract has been signed,
But yes, they're not done, which,
but they're not done.
But the
What's that
contract
mean?
involves money, doesn't it?
what was presented to us was a contract for the company to replace all the lights. I was against it because some of them just don't make sense. Why spend $100 for within 30 years, you'll save like 85 cents a year? It does not make sense.
That's
No, I
right.
agree.
So I was against it for those particular purposes. The other two said, no, we'll just do it and get it over with. That's fine. Subsequent to that, I find out from John Tappan, because John's the one that's helping them figure this out. John says, no, that's not what we're doing. The contract is to go with that particular company, but what we're doing isn't necessarily set yet, because the contract said, this is what we're proposing. So we have to tell them what we want to do. So, for like the lights that are in the closets out here, we're not doing. Which, okay, now that kind of makes me more happy about this thing. But they're still stuck in terms of, okay, what are we actually changing? What are we changing to? And then they need to get it approved by the utility companies, which they haven't done yet. So it's moving very slowly.
And at what cost? Is there a cost in the contract?
Yes, on the contract, but
What's
we're
the
not
cost of the
doing that,
contract?
so
I know, but what's the cost in the
I don't know
contract?
what to talk about.
So have they agreed to modify the contract? I mean, if you've got this legal contract between the town and this company,
I don't
who
know.
cares what John Tappan says, really, you know? You've got a contract,
But the contract doesn't say, the contract says this is what we're proposing.
and it has a dollar amount,
Yes, what they're proposing. But we're
and you
not
signed that
necessarily.
contract. Or you didn't sign it, but the town signed that
Yeah,
contract.
but there's language in there which John Tappan says, then we need to decide what we're actually doing and then get approval from the utility companies, because we don't
It
know.
sounds like it's gonna be a lawsuit to me.
It sounds like that nothing is moving because John Tappan is working on the Town Center Vision Committee. He's not doing that, so it's actually not anything happening.
See, the real issue is
They're gonna
that
replace
the
fixtures,
contract
or they're gonna-
proposal
That's what
It's
it
signed,
is.
it's
is,
signed.
but it says to change the whole fixture, when in reality, you only have to change the bulb.
That's one thing that Jim
Yeah.
Banks proposed.
But
and
there
they-
is a question of whether the energy company will give you a rebate if the ballast is still in there, because there's a question of whether the ballast is still using electricity.
Okay, and.
That's the real bottom line of
Okay,
the
and I
argument.
Or
assume this
whether it
contract is
could
for
be.
taking the balusters
Even-
out? Is that what this does?
No, the contract is to take the whole fixture out, throw it away, and put a whole new fixture in.
I see.
Which is a lot more costly.
Yeah.
Yes. That costs you, I don't know, I wanna say around $140 a fixture.
Yeah.
And how many fixtures? For every light that we see here, is there a fixture?
Yeah,
Or
the-
something.
Each one of these is a fixture.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay,
6,
okay,
7.
all right. So you're talking probably 100 fixtures at least in the building?
I don't remember the number, plus the ones outside too. Those would be replaced as
To
well.
change the bulbs, it's about $2 a bulb, and each fixture has 4 bulbs.
And, but if we only change the bulbs, we might not get this money from the but who cares? I mean, about that, because if you change the bulbs, aren't you saving electricity?
Yes.
And it doesn't your
Yeah.
cost go down anyways?
Yes.
Correct.
Well,
It seems like, for me anyway, it would be a no-brainer,
Well,
but.
the issue you've got people who are energy conscious on the energy committee, but they're not very administratively inclined. So they've kind of like washed their hands of it and given it to Julie and John Tappan to deal with. And I think what the board did, the board said, okay, we've been hearing this enough, let's just wash our hands and just have them do it and just be done with it. But now it's stuck because,
The next thing is there was someone in the process, and I'm not pointing at you at all.
You can point at me.
Someone in the process thought that the custodial staff, or whatever we call maintenance engineers or whatever, were gonna change them all, the bulbs. Well, that's okay here, but you gotta rent a platform lift
Scissor
to do the
lift,
fire
yeah.
department.
yeah,
And then now there's some
got it.
OSHA guidelines you've gotta
it's a
follow.
liability.
And the company,
But wouldn't it make sense, like, to take this room and just change them in here?
yeah,
I mean, why couldn't we do
Like,
that?
why couldn't we just do it?
Huh?
nobody's got a line item for the
Buy the
bulbs.
bulbs,
How much
yeah.
are the
Well,
bulbs?
the other thing that I suggested to them, as these bulbs die out, just replace them with the
Right,
higher
yeah, right,
efficiency
yeah,
bulbs.
yeah.
They didn't like that either.
Well, I
Why?
don't
Because the
know about that,
balusters are
because
still here?
These bulbs could last a long time, you use a
Well,
lot
the
of
thing is,
electricity.
then you're
So then
throwing
what
away
are
a
you
good bulb.
saving? You know,
You're throwing
it
a
would
good
be
bulb.
years of,
Oh, actually, to change all these bulbs, you save a big amount of money.
like, right
Wow.
away.
Yes.
And God knows,
That-
we spend enough on electricity in
Big a
this building.
difference as far as electricity.
So why wouldn't we just change the easy ones and then discuss the
Yeah.
hard ones? You know?
I agree.
Your biggest savings are gonna be on the outside, those big
Yeah.
packs that you've got,
Yeah,
and the lights out front.
okay.
There's
Even
some, I
so.
think it's the lights out front, it's like, less than a year to replace, in terms of replacing the cost, in terms of the energy save. Those are your big savings. The bays out there are your next ones. These are, you'd save money,
But
but.
still,
they're
at
low.
least
So-
it would save some, right?
Yeah,
So,
I changed my garage and put the fluorescent bulbs in. Not fluorescent.
LEDs.
LED bulbs in.
Well, the
And I
last.
noticed it, and I'm only talking four of these fixtures.
Yeah.
And you noticed the
I
difference?
noticed the difference first.
The only thing, the last
first
thing.
month,
Yeah, the last thing, if you go downstairs, in the meeting room downstairs, there's one of them that is the LEDs, so you can see what the fixture looks like. So that's as far as they've got.
And it's a much more light.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, much
for
more.
less money.
for a lot less money, more output.
Yeah, but the thing is, it needs a champion to move it forward.
And
I see.
the LEDs last 6 or 7 times longer than these.
Yeah.
What happens with these is every time you turn them on,
They die a little,
they die a little.
Yeah.
Every time you turn them on.
so, yeah, okay, that's interesting.
The LEDs don't.
Well, I just don't understand, I guess. I
So
mean,
40 years ago-
I understand we might need to discuss the hard ones, I understand that. But the ones that we can change easily, why aren't we doing it?
Because there are 2 competing groups. And I don't wanna name who's in the competition, but.
I suspect when John Tappan gets done with the Town Center Vision Committee,
I have some questions about that, too.
okay, we can talk about that, he'll focus back on electricity. Right now, he's like maxed out, so.
Well, is he the only person in the town who can do it?
That's the only person that stepped forward to do
He
it.
and Julie are,
Yeah,
maybe if one of us stepped forward and said, hey, can we,
That's
And
why
then-
Brian in charge of it.
And then you threw Jim
Yeah.
Banks into the mix,
yeah,
Oh,
poor Jim Banks.
yeah.
okay. Yeah, you-
who is now on the Energy Committee, is my understanding.
Oh, really? Maybe he'll push it through. They need some help. They have some good ideas.
Well, that's
but-
why I was told off record that he was on the Energy Committee.
Right.
God, it just makes so
He's
so
a
much
smart
sense to me
guy.
to do something. I
Might
mean,
help
look
him.
at the money we spent on electricity for this building, just for this building. It's
Well,
ridiculous.
The other thing that's hanging out there as well is this whole issue about solar array.
Right.
We had it on the
Right.
warrant article to get permission. One of the things, and depending on what we do with the Town Center Vision Committee, in terms of that Town Center proposal, one of the things that Jim Banks told us is, if that gets passed, one of the things you need to do is, because right now, some of the town buildings are on Eversource, some are on the co-op.
Yeah.
He says, if you pull power from the church side and powered all those buildings with the co-op, then you have all your town buildings on one provider. And then if you want to, you can put in a solar array so you can get net metering going. But right now, the
And
net
it's
metering doesn't go across
Three-phase
providers.
instead of,
So,
It doesn't go where? I'm sorry.
across providers. So let's
I
say,
see.
let's
Got
say
it.
we
Okay.
put
Yeah.
a solar array here. And so that would help with this building, because this is the biggest user of energy. But if there was any excess energy, we could only use it against the accounts that we have at Eversource. We couldn't use them against the accounts that we have with the co-op. The other thing he said, which you just mentioned, is when you pull from the church side has three-phase power. And if we were to do something at Town Center, like the new municipal building, having that have access to three-phase power would be much nicer in terms of
Yeah.
HVAC and stuff like that. So, but, you know,
Plus, right now, co-op is cheaper than Eversource.
no,
Mm.
plus,
Well, everybody's cheaper than Eversource.
Yeah, and
The
they're
co-op
going,
is-
and they're going up.
Because I'm on co-op.
I have Eversource, and they're going up, so, yeah.
all right, anything else with government buildings? Do we
No.
want to tweak anything? Do we want to move things over, or no?
Everything's good?
I'm fine on moving.
Yeah, I'm fine on it too.
Check it
I
over.
just wanted to know if the Energy Committee needed more money, that's all.
Right.
Cemetery,
So is Randy, is he the superintendent? He resigned as superintendent?
he's resigned twice
How many times he has to resign for it to take?
for them to. He resigned when he retired.
Yeah,
I heard they convinced him to come back.
uh-huh.
Something happened, I don't know what. He resigned as of the end of August. Ricky resigned as the hole digger at the end of August.
Oh, that's why there was a crisis about it. Both of the Stevens boys
Then,
didn't do it, huh?
The crisis came up, so
So
the
it's-
Stevens boys came back to do whatever they need to do, and then Randy resigned again. So he's resigned twice, at the end of June and sometime in September, I don't remember what it was. So,
Wow.
but now that Mary Ann Banks has resigned, this is not in the minutes, don't put this, you're gonna be taking minutes here, buddy. You're in charge of minutes. But don't put this in the minutes. Mary Ann Banks resigned because she started dealing with the Neal ladies.
I don't even have.
They're not. So asking today in terms of Randy's gonna be the sexton, Supervisor Cheslis, he says, hell no, with Mary Ann gone, because he's not dealing with those people. So,
Why are they
no.
so difficult? I mean, what's to digging a hole? I mean, come on, right?
I can't, I haven't spoken to him, this is what I'm hearing.
I think if I see him, I'll ask him.
So,
I wanna tell him too that he put the High Road Bridge in just in time.
I don't know, so
So,
until.
so we don't have one, right? We don't have a superintendent, is that right?
He's doing it, but he's not, I don't know.
So he's just being paid hourly when he does it?
I
Do you
have
know?
no idea.
Okay,
I,
Okay.
So he's
those,
digging the holes.
no,
Okay.
Ricky digs the holes. He lays them out.
Ricky's still digging the holes.
I don't know about that.
My understanding is actually the funeral homes are hiring
people to
Ricky
dig the hole. Oh,
to
Rick-
dig the
got
holes.
it. Okay, okay.
Because we're working with the cemetery trustees to do an SOP, because Randy said there's no way, no matter who's there, I'm not doing it until there's a SOP written down. And we went over it on Monday night. we seem to be okay with it, then it needs to go to the trustees.
Well,
So-
yeah, wouldn't that be something that the trustees should write, not the selectmen, just out of curiosity?
We've been trying to get the selectmen, cemetery trustees to come and meet with us to talk about this whole situation. And I found out today that Mary Ann Beggs has been wanting to come forever, but the other two keep telling her, no, we're not gonna go, we're not gonna go, we're not gonna go. So Mary Ann is like, she's stressed, she's tired of dealing with us, she's had enough, it's affecting her health. She says enough's enough and.
And her health is not very good.
Oh, it's
So-
not? I'm sorry to hear that.
So, but in the SOP is if for cremations, if the family wants it, the town will dig the cremation thing and lay out the cremation plot. And there's a small charge for that. The trustees have to figure out how much it is. For full burials, the town will lay it out, the sexton will lay it out, but the third party hole digger, if you will need to be hired by the family or the funeral home to dig the hole and then cover it up.
Okay, so they're hiring Ricky to do that at this
I
point?
do not know who they're hiring.
Oh, okay.
It's up to the funeral home to do that. That's what's in the SOP, but the SOP hasn't been signed yet, so
Okay,
we're kind of in this
yeah,
limbo
all right.
line.
Mhm.
And I think what is happening is that Ricky and Randy are doing what they need to do to get us through.
Got it. But they probably want to retire from it sounds like, huh?
Well, Randy's tired of all the shenanigans, so he just wants to do his thing and be done, so.
Yeah, I agree, and they should just let him do his thing, good grief, they should trust him
Let
totally.
him retire.
All right. Anything in cemetery?
No.
Tweaking, changing? No?
I don't think, is there?
No. Property liability?
No, what, I mean, what you
Well,
can,
what's it, wait a minute,
okay,
hold up a minute, back
Go
up.
ahead, go ahead.
What's the $5,000?
fences and stuff.
Well, gravestone repairs, things like that. They just had a big expense for clearing out brush in one of the cemeteries. It was like $3,000. I don't remember which one. But it's basically for the maintenance of the cemetery.
And who do they hire to do that? They have somebody,
I don't remember who we just paid the $3,000 for brush. Somebody local.
okay,
I recognize the name, but I can't remember.
okay,
It wasn't the Orion. It wasn't Orion. It was somebody else.
okay.
S1 or something.
No, it wasn't them. It was a guy.
Oh.
I recognize the name, but I don't remember it. Anything, you also have a cemetery now, Brian, or not?
Yeah.
Insurance, liability, everybody okay with that?
It is what it is.
Yep. The only thing that, and she's got it up a little bit, but one of the things, when we do the purchase of the parish house, that property, we're gonna have to cover that for a little while. I don't know how much that's gonna be. It's not gonna be that much, I wouldn't think. Other government, that's the
I'm sure
3%.
if I wouldn't cover it with fire, I'd just cover it with liability.
Well, it's gonna be something, it's not, I don't know if that's the difference in the, it's probably just a rate increase, but there's gonna be a.
So now that that house you guys are buying is on somebody's wish list, some historic preservation wish list, right? Well, does that complicate the whole process?
Right, yeah, the Historical Society put it on there.
Okay, what's going on is, it's on the New Hampshire Preservation Society 7 to Save list.
Right, their wish list.
Well, it's
Do they have
a,
any money? No,
no, all it is a PR thing.
got it,
So you don't have to own the property to get put on that particular list.
got it.
So there's a group of individuals in town that said, we don't want it to go away, we want it to be saved. Something happened to do something with it.
Okay,
So it's on the list. What happens is you provide documentation, you give them a history, all kinds of stuff. Their historians and preservation people go through the list of applicants. There was 17, and they picked 7. And we were one of the top rated ones. So that and $3 or whatever it is now to get a cup of coffee at Starbucks, that's how much it's worth. But all it is a PR thing.
so it's nothing really.
It's PR.
Yeah,
That's all
it it doesn't prevent you from tearing it down or,
Nope, nope.
okay,
Just, there is a group
Whatever
of
it is.
individuals.
yeah,
They are meeting later this month, I don't remember when, to see if they can spearhead an effort to ask the town, because at the last town, March town meeting, on the ballot, it was to buy the church property for up to $250,000 and to remove the structure. This group wants to ask the legislative body, because right now that's what's happening, it has to be removed. It can be trashed, it can be taken apart and moved someplace else, it just has to be removed. They're gonna ask the legislative body, it's my understanding, to give them another year to figure out what to do with it.
Does it stand in the way of the buildings and all of that? No, okay.
Well, the plans we're looking at now, no. So they're gonna ask for another year. So they're gonna do one of two things, and I don't know which way they're gonna go. One, find out someplace else to move it to, take it apart, move it down, or I don't know. The other thing is to see if we can renovate it and have the town use it. I don't know. So we'll see. But they're just asking for extra time. That's all that this particular thing does. It doesn't stop us from after that year, if they have no plans or whatever, to taking it, tearing it down. It cost about, the quotes I got were about 30,000. Karen says that the quotes we got are a little bit high. There's a company in Hudson that is usually cheaper, so it's probably gonna be the $25,000 range.
By the time you get to do it, it'll be 30.
Could be. So if you figure out 30,000, so.
Now, that's probably bigger than the one I tore down, but even with the asbestos
Yeah.
remediation, I paid $10,200.
Who did it?
Danley did.
Yeah, I was gonna mention.
That's who it is.
Yeah,
That's
he's
the
a
place.
good guy. He's a
That's
good
the
guy.
That's in Hudson?
I think it's in.
No,
some-
they're in Fremont.
Maybe that's it.
Okay.
In Fremont, well,
It's somebody down south.
they were in Fremont, I
Yeah,
think they
he's
still
a
are.
good guy. He's a good guy.
He does a lot of demolition stuff.
Yeah, he does.
And what they do is they actually, you've got, I don't know if you've done this yet or not, but I don't know how much asbestos is
Yeah,
in
we
it.
have done that. There's two places. There's a,
I had a kitchen floor that was asbestos.
no, we
So-
have the front, if you're looking at the parish house, right over the front door, there's a roof, and they've used some asbestos material to do caulking or weather stripping, and most likely it's the same material that's up on the chimney, so those two places have to be taken care of. And the thing is, as
That's it?
long, yeah, you have to identify it, that's all they have to do, identify it, and then the company will come in and do what they need to do to take it out.
If it was I had a whole floor. I was surprised that's all I had, but I was surprised, and they take everything down to some kind of a sorting place in Plastow that has I believe a MRF, and then shakes everything out, and so they recycle everything to Danley.
Well, the other thing we found out, the stones are in the basement, I don't know if you've been there. The stones are in the basement, there's a gentleman in town that will buy the stones from us, he wants the stones. So if you get rid of the building,
That stone.
He wants the
foundation.
stones.
Well,
so I assume he makes walls with, I don't know what he's gonna do with them, but he wants the stones, so we
and he'll
consider.
buy them for whatever.
I don't know what he's gonna buy them for, but he
Yeah.
wants the stones, he's gonna pay
Yeah.
money for them. All right, so anything in other government buildings, that's the 3% with all the expenses, FICA, retirement and stuff, are those
Other
increases?
government,
Building,
That's what you're saying?
other general
Yep.
government,
Yep.
that's 68,200?
Yep, that's the 3% of the salary pool with the expenses for retirement, FICA and stuff for the current employees.
that doesn't include the new ones that they
No,
are talking
that's
about.
separate.
Okay. Everybody good?
All right, police?
That doesn't have any of the new people in it, that's just the existing.
Not any of these
employees.
people, no.
But that's just the existing employees.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't have a problem moving that over there.
Police department?
Well, I personally would only support adding personnel if it were done by separate warrant article.
Is that an option?
Sure, the selectmen can do that.
Is that an option?
To me, that
Selectmen?
makes it transparent as to what people are
Or
voting
is it-
about, instead of being hidden in the budget,
We've done it before, we've done it
Yes.
both ways.
yeah.
We've put new people in, we've also done it separately. I think the last time we did it, we've had it in. Time before that, we
Right.
did it separately.
Yeah.
In terms of the police department, in terms of looking at all these and just looking at the bottom line, and this is just me,
Yeah,
I'm in favor of one of the fire department personnel. I'm not in favor of the part-time one. I'm not in favor of the police department because we just added one. And I'm not in favor of the transfer station. Because to get to 8%, as we mentioned earlier, it has to come out of these personnel line items at some point. Unless we want to cut somebody else. It's already here. But that's just me. That's just me.
There's no way to, because otherwise there's no money that you can add.
well,
Like you'd have in years past to be able to not increase taxes, is what you're saying.
well, taxes are gonna increase
We're
anyway,
gonna have to
I would
increase them.
say.
It's just how much, right?
Right,
Yeah.
because what, how much does this assessed value of the town go up every year?
Depends.
Well, let me just say that
3%,
in
4%?
general, you know, in my experience, it goes up based upon the inventory increases by 1 or 2%,
Mm.
between 1 and 2% annually.
Yeah, Karen
And
said,
if we have, what, 400, yeah, I heard about the $10 million, but what's that for? Some of it's for paving, right? Some of it's for outside work that you can't really assess. I don't know how much of it's like that, but that's my bet, all right? And so you can't go by that, because how much of the 10 million turns up in added assessment?
yeah, I'm not sure, I don't know that number.
Yeah. But,
So you're gonna get
so
some of it
you're-
back, but yeah.
You're saying you would add the full-time firefighter, not the part-time, and not the part-time police?
No, full-time police,
Well, he's going from part-time to full-time, so he's not,
yeah.
it's not a full, right?
Yeah, but to differentiate, until we get an answer to that retirement question, the difference is $44,000.
Right, oh, yeah.
What's going to, and I'm not saying I'm disagreeing with you, but what's going to happen to the 39-hour-a-week police officer?
I don't know. Because he came here with the understanding from the chief that he was gonna be hired at full-time at some point.
I think the chief told him it would pass. I think the chief
So-
gave him a very strong feeling it would pass.
Well,
But I'm just wondering, now I'm looking at if that person goes away, then essentially you did away with the 32 or 33 or 30-hour
Yeah.
week too. So it reduces the amount of coverage that we have.
I'm not saying get rid of the part-time part of it.
You gotta hire someone and you gotta meet the new
That's
requirements.
what's so difficult about it, because hiring part-time people and keeping them has been a problem, because they wanna go to full-time, so they
Wow.
leave and they go somewhere else. That's the same thing with the fire department. At some point, we gotta realize that this is an issue and start to try and keep people and address it,
Well,
you know, to be able
He
to,
just lost another
Give 'em
police
what?
person this week, so.
He did?
Another one?
a full-time?
Mhm,
or-
Police, you said?
mhm.
So maybe we need to look into why that's happening too. then.
Well, I think
That's a
that- I think-
full-time person, right?
right, I think one of the problems is their pay scale. Don't you? I mean, to me,
Because-
they ought to be starting off at like $25 an hour, and they start at like
They-
22 or
I think there's
21.
two issues, Alice. I think the pay scale is probably 70% of it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think 30% of it is they can go someplace else where the summer always on with them. They don't go home.
Oh, I see.
Mm.
And they, because they don't like
And I
it.
think it might be even a little higher.
You could
than
let your
It's
dog ride.
uncomfortable, it's.
I said you could let your dog ride with them.
Ironically,
Trust
we
me.
talked about dogs
Trust
last
me.
year.
If you go for a dog, you think a cop was expensive.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that
That's
you should
what
do that. No,
the
no,
expense
no.
of it.
Your dog would be a
You think a
volunteer.
cop is expensive.
That's what we discussed last year, right?
Your dog would be a volunteer.
Volunteer dog.
I'm looking, I'm not looking at how you call it, I'm looking at coverage.
Yeah.
I don't think we should reduce the coverage from what we have now. If anything, I think we should be looking at trying to increase it.
Which is, yeah.
I'm thinking, because if I remember his presentation right now, I don't know what this does to the numbers, I'd have to have a week to play with numbers.
Hmm?
He put in 44,000 for overtime. That was going to pay overtime to make sure there was someone on it, 2 people on every shift.
Mhm.
I might be inclined to say, give him the other hour and a full-time guy, but wipe out a lot of his overtime budget.
No, it won't.
No, that's not what he's telling us. He said if we get the full-time officer, you can reduce the overtime by just $5,000.
And I know that's what that says, the way I heard it, that's next year, because he wants the 11th person next year.
Next year, he's gonna
If I
ask for
remember
another
correctly,
person.
he came in and said he was
Yeah.
gonna try to work with the program and not ask for 2 this year to guarantee 2 people 24/7. He would only ask for 1 this year to be a team player, and we'd ask for the other one next year, and that's what would reduce the overtime to $5,000.
Hmm.
That was the way I heard it, Scott.
Well, that's not what this says.
I know, but that's, I think if you look at his actual budget presentation in the book, you'll find that,
That's what he did ask, and that's what
because
I
it was kind
remember.
of convoluted,
That's what I remember, but, because he said, you know, he realizes that other people, meaning the fire department, was, and there were other needs that, we would have.
you got it?
It's in his narrative?
Well, it was in his oral presentation.
Oh, Says the increase in this line item will cover the cost of the hours that would be needed to cover the officer's vacation time off, plus any overtime that needs to be covered, $44,906. Since the budget passed in March 2018, the part-time position has been manned by a full-time certified officer for 39 hours versus the 32 that the budget allowed. This increase in hours was discussed with the Board of Selectmen. The additional funding is being provided by the Lee Police Department out of the overtime line item. The Lee Police Department is reclassifying the part-time position that is currently funded to a full-time position for a total of $135,408.
So as a part-timer, he can only work the 39, I thought he could only work 31 without,
They're doing that for the insurance part of it, I think.
so that they don't have to
To
pay
not
health
pay
insurance?
yeah.
Well, to me, the biggest expense is retirement. I think it's outrageous what we have to pay for a third of his salary for retirement. And I've often wondered, is there another alternative?
Yeah, make the state pay what they said they were gonna pay when the retirement system came in.
Yeah,
That's why you got the problem.
I
is
know.
The state's never paid their amount of money.
right, and then they cut it back, because the investments they made were so horrible evidently. And
Well,
they didn't have enough money to pay
Yeah.
people. I think they ran into that problem.
Well, they've got enough money. They're gonna run out if they don't. They haven't run out of money yet.
Okay,
State's not, but the state's never paid in their shares.
I agree.
That's the problem with the retirement system. It's not that the system is faulty, it's that the state just never appropriated
I
their
know,
share
and
of
see, and they
money.
sucked all these towns in, saying they'd do that, and then, as usual, the state backs right out of it, and the cost falls on all the towns.
And we're actually paying the cost for the troopers, the fire marshals,
Uh-huh,
Everything.
because the state's not putting their share in. And it drives me nuts that nobody argues that point.
Oh, they do. They just doesn't gain any traction.
Hmm?
They do argue that point in Concord, but it doesn't gain any traction because they have no money for anything, so anything they can push down to the towns, they do.
I know, it's
Because the
ridiculous.
towns don't push back.
But anyway, my
Yeah.
point is on the police department budget, I'm not adversarial, but I just don't wanna reduce hours that we're getting for coverage.
Mhm.
I don't
Well-
think we should do that, and if you cut out the part, he's gonna have a
I
problem.
think it's gonna
having a
end up being
part-time
bad if
person
you do, you know.
Because they need to be certified in order to meet your insurance payback. And if they're certified, then they have to have retired from someplace in order to take a part-time position. And now they're gonna have to have less hours than they had last year under the new statute passed by the state because of the retirement system. So that's all I'm trying to figure out. I don't have an answer to how to manipulate the numbers yet
Well,
to do that.
for me to add 2 new people,
That's crazy.
that's too much for me
Yeah.
in terms of dollar wise. There's just too much.
Right.
Is he adding 2 new people in his budget?
He's talking about the fire
Fire
department
department.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't talked about it yet.
So
but
he's
the trans-
adding half a person, officially, I mean, part-time to full-time.
Yeah, a difference of like 8 hours, but when you go to that 8 hours, then you
Right,
get all these
you
other
get
Then all the
expenses.
health benefits, right?
So,
At
The health
retirement
benefit isn't gonna be as much as a retirement.
Right, retirement is
health
outrageous.
benefit, well,
It's
you don't know what
really
they've got,
bad.
it's 22,000
For a family,
well, you gotta assume they're a family.
yeah, okay, yeah.
And the retirement is 13,000. So, for me, for all these positions, I'm amenable to one.
13,000 for the town?
For the retirement system.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, for all these positions, I'm not too keen about the transfer station. There's some issues there, and I don't think it's gonna be solved by going to full-time, but that's just me. So I'm down to an additional police officer or additional fire department person. Fire department has problems. Police department just got another position last year. So I think it's their turn, and I cannot see myself voting for 2 of them. And that's just me. I hear what you're saying. He found Todd Berry before, maybe there's somebody else out there retired who wants a few hours, I don't know. And I know the issue in terms of the officers all sent in memos last year about
Oh, yeah.
going to calls all by yourself. So I get that, so that's why I was in favor of it last year, giving them that extra person so they can at least alleviate some of that situation. But I can't do it 2 years in a row, I just,
And I'm not asking you to do it, I'm asking you to make sure we don't lose the hours we have now because we can't.
But
Yeah.
that's gonna be a risk
That's the,
of doing what
that's
we,
what I'm trying to
of not giving them.
I'm not against reducing their hours, I'm not advocating taking any of the positions, I'm not advocating for increasing that to full-time. And I know that's gonna be problematic. But I'm not taking away their part-time position, I'm not advocating that, but I can't see taking that to full-time with the extra expense at this time. So that's where I am, so.
Now,
So-
the fire,
But we're with the budget committee, so we can
You can-
say
Yep.
what we recommend, and then the
Well,
selectmen, obviously,
I'm
he's
not-
just saying what,
I'm not in favor of a huge budget increase.
no, I
So
know,
don't get me
no.
started.
But I'm
As a
saying,
liberal.
I'm not saying that either, but I am saying
No.
that I think the police and the fire need to be taken care of. We need to do what we need to do to help them get to where they need to be.
Well,
And
actually,
they're not where they need to be, and they haven't been for years.
that's the
So-
responsibility of town government. Number one responsibility is to protect the citizenry.
Right.
All the rest of the stuff is superfluous.
I agree with
I
the
would-
transfer station, I think there's a lot of stuff going on, yeah, maybe it would help, but it's not as important to me as the
What
police
is
and
it
the
that we
fire.
actually, and I had trouble following this, the fire chief did an excellent presentation. But I had
Yeah.
trouble figuring out just how much better coverage we get by adding 1.5 people, or a full-time or a call, or part-time, whatever we
Yep.
call. We still don't have any for Saturday and Sunday night, or Friday and Saturday night. There's 2 nights where
Is the people on call.
you got,
Yeah.
and nobody answers the call.
Because of the way they're
they're out
set up as.
partying
Yeah.
on those nights. And he's not gonna put his he
It's-
didn't put his full-time people in there. I mean, when I was running part-time people, we first looked at the shifts that had the fewest number of calls. That's when we wanted a part-time person.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And you also needed to look at when a part-time person could work. They have a regular job,
Right.
and you can't make it so that they gotta work until 6 o'clock in the morning because they gotta get some sleep with their regular job. I don't think he's done that.
He gave us the spread in
he's
terms of when the
working
calls are and what
towards-
days of the week.
Doing that.
So it's my understanding that the calls on the weekend are less
but you still gotta have it. What happens if my house is burning on Saturday night?
We just let yours burn.
And they
right?
set the
Just
alarm
like
off
yours.
and nobody comes.
You'll get coverage from the covering departments, like for instance, where do you live? North
Southside
side?
Road.
So well, that's closer to Epping, right?
No.
It's probably closer to Durham.
Well,
Durham and Newmarket.
Well, you're not closer to Epping.
That's right, that's what I'm
Most
saying.
of the time, people do respond and they go. If for some reason
He's right in the
nobody
center of
went,
town.
which doesn't happen very often,
He's,
then it would be,
doesn't happen very
Another
often. He
Tom.
sat right here and said he can't get people to respond to those calls.
so, no, enough people.
enough people.
He said he doesn't have enough people. And that's true. He might get two, or sometimes he'll get one, or whatever. But very rarely would he have no one respond. Someone,
So these are his breakdowns by day of the week.
I looked at those.
So Sunday's less than any other day, but really Saturday is down there as well. It's a little bit higher than Friday, but he's got coverage on the majority of the days where all the calls are taking place, so.
yeah.
And the thing is, you get, the reason I was asking is in terms of, we have an agreement with Epping in terms of mutual aid. We don't have one with Barrington, I believe we have one with Durham.
Yeah.
So it's just people that live up there,
The northern end of town.
Yeah.
so.
They'll burn.
And the thing is, it's the nature of the call service. Everybody's having the problem.
And we're not a town that provides a full-time fire department, so it's, you
I
know,
have to tell you.
otherwise
there's
there'd be
a lot more
12-hour
people
shifts for
around
full-time.
From 6 o'clock Monday night to 6 o'clock, to midnight, and from midnight to 6 AM
Mhm.
than there are available on Friday night. And that's just the nature of human
Yeah, I
nature,
think you're
because
right,
quite frankly, if I've worked all week at my regular job, I wanna have Friday night
Mhm.
and Saturday
do
night with
something.
my family.
Mhm.
And he does not appear to be willing to say full-time firefighters have to work those hours. He wants the full-time firefighters to also have those days off, is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
I think you
Which,
gotta put
yeah.
the full-time people in those locations where you have the likelihood of not getting called firefighters. And he was first to say, he has a hard time getting them Friday and Saturday night, because they wanna spend time with their families.
well,
And now we're paying a full-time person, and they're not on Friday and Saturday night when we have the problem
no,
with the coverage.
he's scheduled them during the day.
Hmm?
He's scheduled them during the day.
Yep. So, that's
That's
my,
a valid complaint.
that's my issue with his presentation. I'm not denying that he should
Mhm.
have some help. What I am saying is, all the full-time people can't have the best of life,
Mm.
and the part-time people having the shitty detail. And that is a
And I'm not sure if
Well,
there's a
yeah.
strategy to that, because just like you were talking about the police officers leaving for a better job, they'll leave us
Exactly.
for the better jobs too, because they
Exactly.
can go and get,
Yes.
in Durham, they can go and get, what is it, the 20, they get
It's-
much nicer
it's,
coverage.
In Durham, they work 24.
24 on,
Yeah.
right, and it's a big department.
But
And then 4 days or 3
he
days
can
off.
work 24 on and give them time off. That would mean he himself would have to do the same thing.
But he can't really structure it that way, because he doesn't have enough people to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's the other
It
thing.
would be $300,000 to be able to switch from that, what
Just-
system we have now to
He's-
that.
He was the one that, under his new. under
He was
his
talking
new
about trying to go
presentation,
12s.
He has it so people can work a part-time job on the rotation. That's what everybody leaves this department for.
But he can't, yeah, he can't keep them.
But it's.
So are we gonna give him full-time jobs?
It's
You know?
just small towns, that's what happens to them.
Right.
It
This is the
happens
way
with
it-
police and fire all across the state.
This is the way it has to work
I'm
for small
not
towns.
disagreeing
Yeah.
with you,
Okay,
but I think
it's just
that,
the nature of the beast.
But-
It's something that we're always gonna be looking at, don't
That's
you
right.
think? Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that we then, as managers, not cover
with full-time people, those places we
Oh, I
can't
agree
cover
with you,
with
Brian.
part-time
I
people.
totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Because
Yeah.
you're a manager.
You're gonna,
You're supposed to manage the people, not be
Right.
their buddy.
Right,
No.
exactly. I agree.
Well, the other
And
thing
he
is,
is
he doesn't have time to manage because he's doing the work of the people.
right,
That's one of the things he told us, he's not managing the department the way he should, because he has to do coverages himself. So,
and all sorts of administrative stuff that he,
Well,
You know,
your police
can't-
chief didn't say it outright.
he does the
He
same,
tells you the same thing.
he said, he does the same thing.
Nobody's on day shift, he's the guy.
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Because I've heard him complain when there's been a snowstorm,
Yep.
and I was trying to get foodstuffs, he called me up and said, can you go get those foodstuffs that we're supposed to supply? Because I got more accidents than I got people to cover.
Yep.
Yeah. There's just not enough of them. There's, really, to cover what they need to cover.
Scott,
Mm.
I agree with your percentage increase, I'm just trying to figure out how we can do that and have managers manage with what they get, okay?
Well, like Alice said, we're a small town, there's no way we're ever gonna compete with a Durham or Dover. We
Exactly.
just have to realize
It
that.
You're just gonna feed
And we
them,
just need
you
to do
know.
the best we can in terms
Right.
of providing for all the employees, not just the fire and the police,
Right.
everybody in terms of those particular services. And I agree with you also in terms of, there's a priority in terms of, you know, life safety people than the rest of the people.
Right.
That's
But,
what government's
Basically,
first
fire,
obligation.
fire and police,
yeah, and we've done in the
try to
past,
take care of them as much as we can.
we've done the best that we can with the dollars that we have. And
Yeah.
we just have to be careful, and as you know, we're very careful with money, we just don't go spend, spend, spend.
Right.
Except on the electricity here.
Except for electricity there.
$20,000 a year for electricity for this building.
And
It's
we could
ridiculous.
replace these bulbs and
We could
reduce
replace
it right
them.
about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I
So-
think we nominate Alice to the Energy Committee and.
Yes, she would straighten them out.
I'll go down here with a stepladder tomorrow, getting rid of this crap and putting in the LEDs.
So, what do we, how do we,
I don't know, the thing is, we can wait for the other two people, because they had, I
they
printed out what
already,
they said.
yeah, I printed out what they said too. And they basically,
That was not as strong as,
Pratt was on the fence about the police.
could go either way,
Yes.
would support them,
Fire, she's in support of, looks like both of them.
yeah.
You know what, I think there should be a subcommittee of the budget committee who would spend a year studying personnel needs for the police and fire and come up with a plan so that the town can meet those needs.
Yeah, well, over time.
Yeah.
Just to share something with you, I don't know if I can share it, but I'll share it anyways. If I get in trouble, you can throw me in jail. There was a personnel meeting, and the fire chief talked to us about his particular issues. And we tasked him with going out and finding out, what does he actually need? So he came back and told us that to make his particular plan work with all the shifts and coverage and all the time, we need 6 full-time people. After we raised our jaws up and, you know, took a breath,
That's,
we said, that isn't gonna happen in a budget year, you're gonna have to spread it out. So this is his attempt to spread it out. So he does have a plan to fully staff, you know, because at some point, volunteers are gonna go away. There was an article that the town administrator sent us from someplace in Pennsylvania, this whole big article about, they're basically going through what we're going through. And they do not like the idea that they have to pay for all these particular services, because just like in New Hampshire, many people in Pennsylvania, they're all volunteer fire departments. But the number of people keeps going down and down and down, and they can't do coverage, so what are they gonna do? Well, you can't get volunteers or
You gotta pay 'em.
pay people, you have to pay them.
right?
So they're developing a plan, which that's what our fire chief is doing, to do that, but
To
is
move-
the town's gonna pay for 6 new firefighters?
Right.
No.
To move towards that.
To
So
move
this
towards
is
that.
the first step, and we're
I don't know how he's
hoping.
gonna do it with 6, but that's okay.
6 additional.
Oh,
6
Right,
additional.
right, yeah.
6 additional to the 3 he's already got.
Yeah.
So total 9. I'm not sure I know how he's gonna do it
Yeah.
with 9 people either, but that's all right.
Well, Durham has
You do the
17,
24s, but
Durham has
it's,
17,
17
How many
full-time.
and
police
filling
Durham
in.
But they have the same problem we do.
22, I think.
22, just Durham, not
Just
the
Durham.
university.
Yeah, well, the university's larger.
Oh, really? Oh.
The university's got at least 3 or 4 more in
So
the town.
how about if we hold on the police department in terms of moving it over, so the other two can have their comments and we can decide next time?
Yep.
I'm gonna ask you another question you may not know the answer to, because you may not have been on the board. But I used to have a standing agreement with the university police, and we swore them all in here so they had special police active
I
powers.
don't know.
Huh?
I don't know about that.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't, I don't know anything about that, I haven't heard
But
that.
that gave us backup all the
It
time.
did,
And we
yeah.
did it because the university owns a lot of property here. Now, they own Moreland Systems.
Yeah.
And we had
So,
Wedge when Systems existed, but they own half of the property on Lee Hook Road.
The dairy farm.
And they got some other property here
Yeah, they
too.
do. Yeah.
And
They used to
were-
be the largest landowner
And
in
they,
town.
they were very amenable to doing that. So, I'm not sure.
Actually, like covering shifts and stuff?
No,
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 Oh.
but if you had one
Something
officer alone and going to a hot call, they started a car to back that
And
officer
come
up.
right back, come right out. Oh, wow.
And if we had a one officer situation and there were two calls going down at the same time, they'd respond to one of the
Right.
calls.
Yeah,
And because we swore them in, they had the power of arrest, so if they
Right.
got there, they could make an arrest. Chet Murch did away with it. Now, I don't know if that was due to accreditation or whatever,
I
but
don't
I don't
know.
know why we don't, that would.
I know they
but he
do,
was too busy putting on those boots. He was too busy wearing his Nazi boots.
jeez.
Brutal, huh?
I know they cover things, but I don't know about, if they're sworn in, but, if there's a call up on the Barrington line and there's only one person on, somebody from Barrington, if they're free, will come down and help. But I don't think we have any arresting
The
powers to that.
problem with that is it's a mutual aid agreement.
Yeah.
Has to be in writing,
Yeah,
and it has to be very specifically moved through.
right.
Whereas if you swear them in as part-time officers,
Mhm.
and they're all
Certified.
They're
certified.
already certified,
They're
yeah.
all certified, you swear them in as part-time officers, there's none of those hoops you have to jump through. As a matter of fact, if the dispatcher
Yep.
makes the decision that, there's something gone wrong, they can start the car without anybody asking.
Hmm.
Whereas to get Barrington come on mutual aid, we had, and I'm sure
Yep.
he still does with everybody around us, there has to be a specific request made by
To them.
by the requesting agency to the senior officer on duty in the responding agency, and they have to agree to accept that to do it.
I don't know.
And so, it's a.
Too long.
Too long, well,
Well, it's
Takes too long,
convoluted, it's
yeah.
convoluted.
that-
And what happens is, cops will always back another cop up. But if there's a shooting, God forbid, or if there's an arrest that goes awry, you might get your ass sued for false arrest because that officer didn't have any authority to make the arrest. Whereas if they're sworn in, they have the absolute authority to make
I
the
do
arrest.
know the answer to the question.
And I haven't even asked Tom that, and he might be bullshit, I'm bringing it up here. Just so you know.
We'll tell him.
All right.
All right, so we'll leave the police department alone.
And fire, we need, right?
We haven't got to fire yet, but we can do that. Police and dispatch.
Code enforcement, did you do?
Wait a
Or
minute.
did we go
No, we
over?
did police and then.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't flip.
Oh, we
Okay.
flip? Okay, so dispatch, police and fire, we both good for those? Stratford County and
Where are we?
I think they're the
page
same.
6.
Unless the same question comes up
Page
as last
6.
year.
Yep, police, dispatch, police and fire, we good with both of those? No?
Brian?
Yes?
Yeah, well, there's nothing you can do about them, really,
Okay. Ambulance?
You said, everybody said yes?
Yeah,
No.
on this,
Well, we were waiting for you because last year you actually had questions on that one.
We good to move?
yeah.
I'm gonna ask you to sit on that, the dispatch
Okay.
until we go through the fire budget,
Sure.
because I wanna talk a little bit about some of the equipment he has in that budget versus this payment,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
I know you're on the fire department, but.
No.
No, that's all right. Yeah,
Ambulance,
that's all right.
McGregor, Durham
I
ambulance?
I go back and forth.
I think if you give that
I
up, you're
approve,
crazy.
I approve ambulance, right, everybody approves the
All
ambulance.
right,
Yeah.
all right.
Good grief, it's the cheapest thing. we can-
Fire department, you wanna wait, or is there anything you
Yes.
wanna talk about?
Well-
Wanna wait?
I keep asking him this, and I'm not warm and fuzzy about the answer.
Yep,
The state of New Hampshire signed a contract for the one call we were talking about, the ADT. That's supposed to implement the ability for agencies. I know fire department has a Seacoast network, but sometimes the Seacoast network frequency isn't in every unit.
Mhm.
And I know there is a lot of fire command seeing problems at times. That's why he wanted this new fire
Mhm.
command vehicle with all kinds of strange radio equipment in it. So-
Lights flashing.
Well, the lights aren't it, it's just the radio, it's communications I'm concerned.
Sure,
about.
yeah, I know, but lights flashing, they like that, the boys like that.
The, I'm not sure that a lot of that equipment we're buying right now isn't gonna be absolutely obsolete to the service
When you were
of police
talking about-
and fire in 3 years.
Because what happens in 3 years?
They will go to
AT&T,
AT&T OneNet.
OneNet, which they've already started.
What does that mean?
My daughter,
It's all
no,
gonna be done.
AT&T,
AT&T. Oh, oh.
wireless,
Okay.
wireless.
Oh, all right.
And
It's,
it'll all
you
be
can
done
use your
with this.
cell phone like a radio, you can, and they have a separate network only for first responders.
Okay,
And they've already got it, because my daughter Jessie and Brendan, have already
Well,
signed up,
Tom's
already signed up for it,
Well,
and
Tom's
they're on it.
a test agency for it.
So he is right now,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
He's a test agency for it. I'm just concerned
You're probably right.
about the amount of money we're spending here, and now, I got in a little trouble last year because I asked him if
About the
the Durham
dispatch.
Dispatch was gonna be around.
Mhm.
He immediately went over to the Durham Dispatch and said, I said they were doing away with dispatch, which resulted in Paul Dean calling me saying, what do you mean we're doing away with Durham Dispatch? I said, first of all, it's not what I said. What I said was, are we buying the right equipment for the repeater services and the communication services with whether we go with Stratford County or we stay with Durham? That was my question.
Yeah.
Paul said, well, that's your question. You ought to have asked that question. That was the end of the comment.
But he didn't answer you.
Paul?
Whether he was gonna, whether it's gonna be,
Oh, he
if
says-
they're gonna keep up with the repeaters.
He says Durham Dispatch, what he said to me is Durham Dispatch is not gonna go away. Because they've taken on the Manchester campus and a couple of other campuses for their emergency transmission.
Oh, yeah.
And because they have certain requirements, which I understood under the federal law, for reporting crimes on campuses, and that's tracked at UNH through the dispatch
Through them.
operation. Some
Yeah.
of the places might do it
Is that the
differently.
Cleary thing or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says it's not gonna go away. Is it gonna remain the same as you see now? I can't tell you that, because we're in the same process trying to figure out what it is we need for equipment, what it is we're gonna have to upgrade, what it is gonna go away.
For the next generation.
And we don't know
Yeah.
the answer to that.
And it
So-
would be completely different with this AT&T.
Well, if it works,
Yeah.
and if you remember, our governor didn't wanna sign on initially, he got pressured by the executive council
Yeah.
to sign on. Because he was concerned about the ability for it to work in the North Country where AT&T's coverage sucks.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, it does here. I get better coverage
gonna
with
have to-
Verizon than my wife does with AT&T right at my house.
Yeah.
So,
I have a microcell, which helps with that too, but it's the same, yeah.
so I'm just concerned about the amount of money we're spending in dispatch with not knowing exactly what it is,
Where it's going
well, what it's gonna
in
fund.
the future. Yeah.
And what maybe Durham is gonna come back to say to us, we need you to pony up this money for equipment, where we might not have to pony that up with the county. And quite frankly, I don't think the chief has a clue, the fire chief. The police chief's with the county. There's gotta be a reason why Durham Police and Durham Fire left Durham Dispatch and went with Stratford County.
And Lee Police.
And Lee
Like,
Police-
why don't we ask Tom, what, you know, what?
He did it for finances.
Mm.
He did it for dollars and cents. It was about $60,000 cheaper.
But he says that he's happy with it, right?
It,
For the dollars and
It
cents
covers his
difference. So I think Scott is saying that he knows that there's issues with, is what I understood
I
from
didn't
the
hear that.
past. Well, he's, the whole conversation last year, and him looking into it, and he did look
he
into
didn't
it.
look into it. He went down and said to the dispatch right here, you're going away.
No, No,
And
he
she
looked
said-
into.
And she said,
other-
where did you hear
Yeah.
that? Because I went down and asked them all. And she said, where did you hear that? And he said, Chief,
Scott, yeah.
retired Chief Burke said in the budget committee,
Yeah.
which she then went to Chief Dean.
But he did look further than just that, and he says he looked into it, and at least to me, and said that there are things that he likes about that system more than Stratford, and because they supposedly
I was in Durham
drop
Dispatch when I was
calls
the
or
police chief.
whatever. Yeah,
Cost $68,000 a year for police, fire, and ambulance from Lee.
which is,
Now, we were on a records management system altogether too, which was all included in that. University police responded to calls as backup and as primary for me. So there were a whole lot of benefits of staying there.
okay,
The volume of traffic was a quarter what Stratford County is.
right.
So
So that's what Scott's concern was, he was like,
if you picked up the radio and you didn't have to wait for someone else to get off the radio so you could ask for what you needed. Was it worth 68,000 versus what, 8,000?
Yeah, well, fire is 8,000, yeah.
Was it worth 60,000 additional dollars?
so that's where Tom's coming from. He's like, it wasn't
Tom didn't
worth
do
it, it
Chet
wasn't.
Birch did it. He was the one that went away from Durham.
Oh, okay.
When Tom came here, they were already with county. So, but I gotta say, that probably dollars and cents wise was
So
an
you're saying it
appropriate
makes
move.
more sense, yeah.
Is there anything
Dollars and
that,
cents.
that is a plus for fire to be on the same thing as the Durham ambulance people? I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you the Durham ambulance has every frequency known to man in it.
Oh, okay, so that does make any difference.
Oh, really? So when you actually sign in, like, because if I go in and I wanna listen to a call, it actually shows up as McGregor Dispatch.
They got their own.
That's what it shows as,
They've got
on,
their
on
own
the
free-
scanner and whatever.
They've got their own frequency.
Okay,
Some of it's because of HIPAA reasons. That's the frequency they call into the hospital with when they get you in the back and you're having a heart attack. And they gotta give information about you over the radio so they can get a,
but there's a frequency, I can go in and it lists McGregor,
yeah, but
and
it's,
I can listen to our fire on calls and so forth.
McGregor has one that's scrambled, so you can't.
So they have another one, yeah. But this one that you go on, it's like, it's McGregor, it says McGregor, I don't know what, it's UNH, it gotta be.
So Brian, what are you recommending? That we only have one, that we don't pay 15,000, that we either pay 7 or 8?
Yeah, well, I'm sure the county will go up some if fire goes with them, although I'm not positive about that. But I'm sure they'll go up some, but I don't think they'll go up the amount. But the chief said last year, though, to go to county, it was gonna cost them money in changing radio systems.
And you're saying in 3 years, that's an obsolete, right?
That's what I'm afraid of.
Possibly,
So,
yeah.
I'm really concerned about the equipment budget and what we're doing in the fire department also.
So do we want to ask him to come and talk to us about that, or what do we want to do?
I'm a little gun shy because sometimes he,
You don't want him to run to Durham again.
Take that chance.
Yeah, no, we should
but
ask him the questions, right?
Yeah, I think they should be asked.
I think, I was hoping he was gonna come back this year after I went after him a little bit last year and have some input from that after a whole year. He can't make decisions to change in this fiscal year
Mhm.
and go to Stratford County if indeed his radios are as obsolete as he says they are.
So he needs new radios. Does he need new radios whether or not AT&T comes into play?
If AT&T comes into play, probably not,
I see.
because he probably won't need any radios.
Right, they'll just use cell phones or something.
Everything
right?
goes through the cell phone.
It'll be a
yeah.
smartphone and that's it.
Well, so we shouldn't be buying new radios then, should we?
But what happens if AT&T fails or doesn't make it in 2 years or 3 years? His radios
How long do they last? How long does a radio last?
it'll last probably 10 years. How long is it good for, and how long is it effective?
Yeah.
Probably 5, the way technology is changing, maybe 4.
Mm-hmm, okay.
You know,
So he
technology
may
is-
need new radios now for us to see
To just
whether
even
it's
to get
gonna
to the,
work.
They need
the
some anyway.
3-year period.
Yeah, they need some anyway.
Mhm.
and I just don't have a warm fuzzy feeling about that equipment.
Well, we can ask him questions, or we can have him, see if he'll come in and speak to us about it.
Yeah,
Well, I think he's gotta have a heads up as to
I
why
think
he's
we
come
need
in.
you to be there and to actually ask these questions, because,
But I think he
I
needs a
know
heads
the
up
gist
on
of
why
it.
he's coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Equipment and radio communications.
Well, we can ask him that.
Yeah.
So, Tom, maybe you can ask him if he can come to the meeting on the 11th at 7 o'clock, and we would like to talk to him about communications needs of the department and radios, and I don't know if you can give more detail in terms of what we need to ask, but,
We need to give us a 5-year vision on communications for the fire department.
oh, well, ask for that.
Would you say
7
that's
PM,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Fair question?
5-year,
That gets them past the 3 years for the equipment
Right.
prices.
say 5-year,
5-year vision for communications for the fire department.
Okay. It's 9:05.
Isn't this long enough? Can't we do it, the rest of it
I don't
next
know.
week?
Well,
How much more do we have?
we got a few pages. I think those are the hard ones we've already done. So we're leaving the fire department the way it is. Code enforcement, there's not very much in there.
Can I ask a question,
Yep.
Ron? I'm gonna ask you the question.
Yep.
I was under the impression the budget committee agreed last year that the code enforcement officer would stay part-time, but there would be enough contingency money to make him full-time if that warranted.
if needed, and the selectmen did.
The selectmen
switched it.
decided, they didn't take our advice,
Yeah, well, we took
essentially.
your advice, but mid-year, we upgraded it.
Switched it, which is what basically we said, if needed, they need to,
So you added a full-time person last year? I'm
Yes.
just kidding. I'm just
They
thinking
changed it.
Basically, we did.
Yeah.
basically, yes.
Basically, we did.
without going to the legislative body.
Basically, we did.
But they're not changing anything
Else.
this year.
I can't tell you why we did that, but we did do that.
Did you support it?
Did the number of,
Yeah,
well,
well,
she just afraid she was gonna lose them?
can't tell you that.
What do you mean?
Oh, that was part
Well, you
of it.
can't tell me that, or you won't
That
tell
was
me
part
that.
of it, but
Can't tell you that.
he can neither confirm or
Nor
deny.
any of those comments. Basically, what happened is, we said, you know, if you need the hours, because I've been fighting this for a while, he keeps, you know, need. Okay, show us the need, and then when I don't see the need, I'm not very supportive. So she provided us with information in terms of what he's done, and also he seems to be bringing in a lot of money. And I know we raised the rates, but he's very good about getting every single dime we can out of those people.
Mind you, those are your constituents.
Yeah, some of them are commercial.
Me, oh!
My constituents are not the people that have built houses up in North Lee that make money and then just take off. That's not, because that's where the building permits are coming from.
Right, right.
So, one of the things that we got told was that he's looking for someplace else because he needs insurance. And so we said, okay, we'll give you, because he was part-time, we said, okay, if you want insurance, we'll give you and we'll pay 50% of that. Which that seemed to be happy for a little bit. So we kind of heard that he agreed to that, but then we kind of heard he didn't agree to that, so he was still looking. So Karen comes back and says, well, he's still looking, that's not making him very happy. So that's when we decided that we'd offer him insurance, and that's when he took it, and that's when he stayed on. So that was the scoop, that's the short scoop. There's more than that, but
Sometimes you have to do it to be able to keep people.
And I think that she should-
That's just says, I think that's a bad decision. I think you should have advertised the position again.
well, the
So
thing is,
you,
it's
Brian,
part-time.
Part-time or full-time, why should he just be entitled to walk into a full-time position? Certainly, he's not the only building inspector in the area.
No, he's not, but all the other ones are
Well-
full-time, and you're not gonna get anybody.
No.
You're not- Yeah.
I think.
It's been a hard
if you
time to
were gonna make
find
it a full-time
anybody right now.
position, You ought to have advertised the full-time position, and he ought to have competed for it.
Oh,
I think
see
that's
you
what
mean.
you're saying, is
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
No, we didn't do that. Well, you know we didn't do that.
yeah.
But yeah, so he's bringing in more money, so we're happy with his performance. So
Is he
that's what-
covering his salary?
Oh, yeah.
He is.
Well, salary plus benefits. He brought in
80 grand or
He's
something.
good.
80,000, we don't even pay him, we don't pay him
Julie
that much.
said.
We pay him 40, what the heck it is?
50
54
something now,
50, 35, yeah.
yeah.
So it is what it is. In retrospect, probably what you said is probably true. We should have just done the advertisement.
Let them apply.
Well, it would probably be, what's the word, just for show, because Karen's the hiring person, who's she gonna hire?
So she can be salary if she's hiring people.
No.
Don't you think?
That's not the nature of it. The nature of if she's salaried or not
Is
is
she
who
is
dictates.
she supervising this person?
Yes, that's not the criteria. The criteria is, that's part of the criteria, but the part of the criteria is, does she dictate her own work? When she works, how much she does, what she does, and she doesn't. She's an administrator, not a manager. Because we had somebody come from the state and do an assessment on her position, and she doesn't qualify as a salary person,
Hmm.
so.
Okay. Emergency
Code enforcement?
management.
No, code enforcement,
Code
we didn't get,
enforcement.
if we're okay with that.
Check. Everybody,
Basically, it's Bill Booth, that's it.
it's already been done.
Now, emergency management,
That's
that's an additional
chief.
$1,000 for the fire chief, right?
Yep. And
An
600
additional
for
600 for Karen.
Karen, yep. And supplies. Move that over or not?
Check, as far as I'm concerned. Is everybody,
Yeah, it's fine. I mean,
All right. Highway department. This is basically Randy's budget, because Randy created it.
and it was the second day of,
Yes.
on the job, and he basically came in and said, okay, this is what I got. Give me a year to,
so Randy's still working for the town, right?
He works part-time.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
is he? Or did he?
He's working for the highway department part-time.
Yeah, okay.
His wife told me yesterday he wasn't anymore.
He actually is.
Okay,
I think he just plowed snow, what?
yeah, that's what she
The
said.
last-
The only
yeah.
thing is he's doing callback to plow snow.
Yep, so, yeah, he is working.
I request you put him on the high road route,
The who?
the high road route.
she was
I want Randy.
on your road.
His idea, and I think, I'm not sure, I haven't spoken to him a couple months about it, but his idea is if the new person, and the new person is amenable, somebody that Randy can get along with. Randy's idea is to have the summers off, and then he'll help us in the wintertime, so plowing and stuff like that. But he wants his summers off to do his haying and his projects and stuff like that. That seems to be amenable to the new highway person.
That would be great.
Oh, the other thing we did, which I think is in here, or maybe not, it's a question, we increased the plowing people's wages. We went from whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
You went up to 22, right?
22, yeah.
See, that's why the cops are underpaid. I mean, we start a cop at 22, don't we? Something like that, ridiculous, I say.
So we, okay with the highway department, or is there anything you want to tweak in there? They're up $43,000,
They're,
up, and most of it's in paving,
Where's-
35 of it's in
Where's
paving.
his salary? It's not
Yeah,
It's on the second page.
Second
Road
page,
agent.
top of the second page.
road agent salary. Oh,
Yep.
oh, yeah. Hey, that's not bad.
so we're paying him a couple $1,000 more.
Then we paid Randy, can you imagine that?
Mhm.
Fall off my chair on that one, boy.
Well, as you all know, Randy's been underpaid for a while,
Yes.
so
Well, why didn't you pay him more?
we tried to give it back.
God.
We gave him, what is it, like 3-4 years ago, we gave him an increase, and he said, I want to give it back, I don't want that. So, we actually gave it to him, but. All right, we good with highway
Highway
department?
department.
I think it's fine, I guess.
Transfer station, you want to hold on that one, because we want to talk about,
Yeah, let's hold on
okay, let's
that
hold
one.
on that one.
Because I've yet to see someone up on the wall.
Yeah, they have him there.
He just
When
hired
they
a
can.
guy,
Now,
what's,
I, quite frankly, I'm not sure why that's required personally.
Well,
But I've yet to see
to
him
help
up there.
people in terms of where to throw stuff, it saves them time on the back end when people throw stuff in the wrong place and they have to
Quite a
get it
bit.
out.
They actually started to volunteer a kid up there on the wall, I've seen the last few times. He's wearing a vest that says volunteer, and he's going back and forth, and he's helping, and he's taking stuff out of places that shouldn't be and putting it in other places and stuff. So he's trying to, get people,
If anything, it helps people in terms of where to throw stuff, because if there's nobody up there and you're not totally familiar, you're just gonna chuck it someplace.
I always ask. When Roger was there, he was always up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the issues we have. I was gonna say, he just hired somebody, an older gentleman, 60-something previously, and then he quit last week, and he was
Oh,
there
he
for a
quit?
day. He was there for a day because they worked him
saw
too
that
hard.
guy, oh jeez.
And our thought process is, well, he needs somebody up on the top, why
Yeah,
didn't
why
we
don't you
hire
put him
the
up
older
there?
guy up there
Yeah.
to do that? But no, they had him do all this other stuff, and he came in the next day and he says, my muscles all ache and I can't do this anymore, so
He quit.
Yeah, so.
Stick him
But
up
we're
top.
saying, don't make him do that, just have him up on the wall, that would be a job for an older guy, or older person. So, water treatment, distribution, conservation, that's $200, are we okay with that?
Yeah,
Where are we?
that's
Page
David's
10.
thing, right?
Yeah, it's David's thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Animal control,
Solid
$100.
waste disposal,
yeah, that's okay too.
We're doing, I'm doing.
oh, we did, okay.
Yeah,
I'm laughing at animal control. Gotta tell the story. And you were the problem. You and Shirley Clark.
Shirley Clark. And this isn't gonna be about the greyhounds now, is it?
No,
Okay,
the guy down on Wednesday Hill, John Carter, was the
John
animal
Carter.
control officer.
Mhm.
I had more calls on John Carter than I did on animals.
So, and the selectmen probably had more calls on John Carter
I
than
had a
anything
lot of
else.
calls. that the
So they-
people complain.
They said to me, what would it take for the police department to handle it? And I thought to myself, give them a shopping list that they will never accept. I said, need to keep a car, we need to set it up to haul dogs in, we need a kennel, we need a contract with the
basically, you
SPCA.
didn't want to do it.
Oh, no,
They did it.
You did it?
town meeting goes by, and Shirley Clark says to me, keep the cruiser that you were gonna turn it into a dog car, we'll get a contract with the SPCA, you have dogs now. I went,
That backfired on you.
Oh, boy.
And I think you put her up to it.
I didn't. Did I do that? I mean, Shirley loved dogs anyways.
Oh, yeah.
I
Right?
do too.
I know. You know.
All right, animal control, we okay?
I can tell you another story about John Carter's.
Where's, yes.
that-
Okay.
that-
Health service we're talking about?
Health service agencies, we okay with all those? It's an
Yeah.
increase of $8,000. Cornerstone VNA.
Because
is
we
new.
added
Great Bay Rotary is new.
to give to their fireworks or whatever.
What else is up? Goodwin Community Health is up 2,000. Those are increases.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. General assistance,
You're stuck with it whether you like it or
Yep.
not.
Exactly.
direct welfare, same thing.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Parks and Rec. Supplies, town fair, recreation events.
So what about Oyster River? Don't you think we should wait for the whole?
Okay, we can wait on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Library. You good with the library?
I'm good with the library. I mean, it's up, what,
It's up
$5,000?
5,000. Yes? No?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Patriotic purposes, basically buntings.
What the heck is that?
Buntings, so it's
For
patriotic
4th of
things they
July
put
and
on.
all that.
Yeah, it's the little flags and the little buntings.
Oh, on
Yeah.
the poles and stuff?
No, 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 on the buildings.
On the
Oh, on the
buildings.
buildings. Oh, okay.
It's just money if they need to replace them. Like, they replaced them in 2018, big time.
Okay.
So far this year, I don't think they've spent anything, sorry. But it's $500, it's not gonna kill us, but I really want to get it done. They spent $153.80 so far.
On buntings?
Yeah, that's, I
Okay.
don't think it's any more.
Yeah.
Agricultural Commission, 1,000.
What did they spend last year?
Agriculture Commission,
Culture and recreation,
they spent nothing so far this year. Last year, they had nothing. We didn't give them any money last year.
right.
2019
Zero
current
funded them,
budget.
and
they
they
spent
initially
nothing
got
so-
mad,
And they still haven't spent any money.
and they.
Why do we give them $1,000 this year?
He
have
said, I thought they said that they, oh no, who was it that didn't ask for money this year?
Conservation Heritage
Okay,
Commission.
okay. So there's Heritage 250, that's different.
Nope, that's different. We don't do that
Okay.
anymore.
So agriculture.
We didn't give them anything last year because they didn't spend anything.
This current year, we gave them
No.
1,000, but they haven't spent anything so far.
And the year before,
We didn't give them anything, they didn't spend anything.
so why are we giving
This
them
is
$1,000?
Eric Sawtell usually.
Right.
comes
Yes,
in.
we don't have to.
Yeah.
Huh?
Just-
Why are we giving them $1,000?
They're asking for 1,000. We don't have to. You can recommend
They
anything.
do, they put it into things for
They
the,
didn't spend any money so far this year. We didn't give them any money last year, and they didn't spend any money last
I
year.
think we did give him money last year,
No,
didn't
we
we? Oh, we didn't give him anything?
Nope.
Huh,
They didn't ask for anything, as I recall.
That's-
Yep, they've
is that what it
got, they've
was?
got a whole bunch of money in their
Their little
account.
kitty, you know, they all have their secret
Of
funds
course, I'm
here.
not gonna be able to find it that quickly, but
Yeah, how much is in the
So-
police secret fund? How much is in that one?
please, I don't know what's in
how
the-
about, what about at least reducing it? Are you saying zero it?
Why are
Or-
you adding money when you didn't give money last year and they haven't spent any money? And they got the money,
And how much do they, yeah, whether they need it or not, I mean, if they're,
if we're gonna give them money, I think they should spend it.
Oh, geez, Brian, you don't want to encourage
you like
that.
the, yeah, the military budget, yeah.
You don't have-
Use it or lose it.
I can't find the sheet that's got their balances, but they've got money.
It's in the book, I
Yeah,
think.
I'm not
It's-
finding it.
And Julie gave it to us. In
Yep.
the back of the book under revenues, I think you'll
Is
find
Can
it.
it
you find it?
Concom, oh, under revenues.
I think it's under revenues.
Yep. I'm not having a hard, easy time finding it. 'Cause it's a single sheet.
Buildings, transfer, no.
And it's got like
Well,
Heritage Commission, Conservation Commission.
Right. I've seen it.
Yep, I have two, but I can't find it at all.
yeah, I don't see it back there, it's not under Concom. Agricultural Commission,
Right?
it's on this thing.
There you go. So, Ag
So
Commission
they-
has how much?
Is that
Yep,
6,319?
yep, well, it's the beginning, what's their end? 5,000,
So
they
they
got
did
$5,000.
Yeah, they got $5,000.
So they spent 1,000.
Yep. So, let's give them 0.
$800 they spent.
There were 800. I was rounding.
Come on, Tom.
But they spent that out of their account, not the money that we gave them so far this year, so. 0, I guess.
That's what I think.
No.
What?
Give them $1,000.
That's what they're asking for.
Huh?
But they got 5,000 in their account. They spend about 1,000 a year.
Well, what did Eric say they needed it for?
He's got $5,000 sitting there. It's the same tack we take with the Heritage Commission.
I know, but the Heritage Commissions is a little bit different, because don't they have to rent the Grange for all their little,
Heritage? No.
no, I mean the agricultural.
Ag Commission, yeah.
Don't they have to rent the Grange?
But
What
they
does
had-
that cost them?
They had $800 of expenses, they took it out of their account. They didn't have any expenses in 2018. We didn't give them any money. They didn't spend any money out of the town account. They spent it out of their account.
What do you mean, they have two accounts?
Yes.
No.
It's the money we give them. It's just like the
Oh, all right.
Conservation
So
Commission.
what you're saying is that they have $1,000 on the town's books, and then over here they have this separate amount.
Yep,
But eventually, doesn't that $1,000 go into
Yeah, it
this
goes into
account?
their account.
yep. So far they've got
They get to
1,000.
carry that over without
Do
a
you want to
vote.
have Eric Sawtell down our throats?
Well, my
I know,
response
for
would
him
be,
doing so.
you spend about $800, you got 5,000, you should be good for 5 years. Plus, he's gonna get 1,000 out of this year, depending on what he spends. So that's another 1,000, so they'll have 6.
In the year we're in, he's gonna get, the fiscal year we're in, he's gonna get another 1,000?
Yep, he's budgeted to get 1,000, but he hasn't spent anything out of the town money. So if he doesn't spend it, it goes into their account at the end of the year.
Well, you know, they did those lovely,
Yep, those are already,
Those
Yeah, they've already paid for those,
I know, but they probably need to update that or do
Not
it
every year.
again.
not every year.
Well, every other
What
year or
about,
something.
what about giving them
I think,
$500 or something?
You know,
Is that- or-
we just okayed 200,000 and we're fighting over 1,000.
I know, that's what I mean. So,
How about if leave that as a
it's the
question.
principle of like zeroing someone. It's like last year when we zeroed the other committee and they friggin' started yelling at us and, whoa, no, you didn't give us that, no.
So at some point, is the
It's like-
Heritage Commission ever gonna run out of money? My God.
Maybe,
Tom,
Whew.
You know,
is your
them-
job here to appease them? Or is your
No,
job
but
here
there's
to
certain-
put, or is your job here to put together a budget for the
Well,
town?
They work for the town and
Right,
it's
you wanna
like,
support
it's such a
them, right?
minimal amount, you wanna support all that.
Exactly, I
You wanna
agree.
support all those groups
Yeah,
that do
right,
that stuff.
yeah. I mean, don't they put some sort of supper on at the
What is the
fair or something?
Yeah.
primary responsibility of government?
Yeah.
let's postpone it till next
Health and
meeting.
safety.
Keep everybody
Health and
happy.
safety.
Conservation Commission asks for nothing, long-term debt, I'm gonna move it over, we have to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Long-term debt interest, you have to move it over anyways. Okay,
Where are you?
Are we done?
I'm on page, no.
Capital
We're at
outlay,
13.
land acquisition,
Yeah, transfers to the trust funds, are we okay with all those? I winged it on 2 of them. I believe, and this is a question for this group. The ones that are in there from the CIP, but there's 2 that CIP doesn't do, the reevaluation and accrued benefits. I put in the same thing we put in for this fiscal year. Do we want to continue that, or do we want to change those? But
Well,
that
what's
was,
the balance in those funds? I mean, what about the reval fund? How much does it have in it?
do you have that one? It's right next to
I
that.
was
just-
it next to that?
Yeah.
That was in column.
I just saw mine in here,
I
but
just saw mine too.
here we go.
We'll tell them they have too much money,
You
we're gonna
got
do
it.
that.
Reeval has 46,00060.
What was the cost of the last one?
And when is the next one due? 20?
2 years, I think. Not this budget, the next
Yeah,
budget.
in 2020.
So if we put in 15, we'd have 61. That would be more than enough. Then we would put it in next year for 2021.
I'm good.
Yeah.
We can leave it, okay? And then accrued benefits, the liability is 117,000,
And
something like
what's in
that.
the-
And
what's
we
in
have
the-
56.
How come the liability is so much? I thought you guys stopped doing
Take one
this.
guess.
Did you stop doing this?
What?
These,
The liability is Julie, because she has a contract that has a 6-month buyout.
Yep. Well, she
and that's
has,
$100,000?
she has significant sick time and vacation. she has
Transfer to
take.
But the big
accrued
one is the
benefits.
contract buyout.
That's not even in there.
That's not.
No. This is just the accrues, that's the accrued benefits. That would be a payout.
So 15,000, you're saying, is accrued benefits?
No, they have 56,000. I'm saying I just put in the same thing that was there last year. Accrued benefits trust, yep, 15.
So,
I just put in 15. I'm not saying
Oh.
that's what we should put in. I
Oh.
just put in something,
so you're saying it's much more than that?
Well, the full liability is like 117.
That's if everybody quit at the same time.
If everybody quit, that's how much we'd have to pay. But is everybody gonna quit? No.
No, of course not.
So if you take Julie off, that takes off like 40,000.
How come hers is so high? She hasn't been here the shortest period of
She
time.
gets longer vacation, she gets to accrue it, she doesn't have to take it, and she
Why
gets
not?
the sick leave.
I don't
She
think-
doesn't have to take it,
Why?
because that's in her
That's
contract.
part of her contract. She's one of the only ones that has a
Why
contract.
don't you rewrite her contract?
They tried.
How long is her present contract?
It goes every single year.
So you renew it every year,
It automatically renews every year.
automatically, without you guys discussing it or
Oh, we can
changing it?
discuss it.
And change it?
We have to give her 60 days.
Notice.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with notice, I don't object to that. But that just seems outrageous. Here she's been here the least amount of time,
Yep.
and half of that accrued benefit, the liability
The
is hers.
police
Yep,
chief doesn't have a contract, the
Nope.
fire chief doesn't have a contract.
Why does
Julie
she?
is the only one. This has been a thing that's been ongoing for quite a while.
I got them not to do a contract for the 2 police chiefs and the town administrator. At that point, we didn't renew the police chiefs, we didn't renew the fire chief. We told them why, we were just getting rid of contracts, whatever. Board changed. somebody left, somebody came on. The new person sided with the person that was there besides me, that said, no, town administrator has to have a contract, has to have a contract.
Why?
Because then she'll leave because, there's a dispute.
Well, so what? So she leaves. I mean, it's not like there's not other people who could do the job. Good grief.
Run for a selectman, so.
No,
then
thanks.
you get rid
I'm
of it.
moving out of town, so I don't think it would be right.
But the thing for me was, we told the chiefs, and we said, we're gonna get rid of contracts, and they
And
didn't
now you
like
turn out
it.
to be a liar.
But
Liar,
then-
liar, pants on fire.
then-
And she still has a contract.
She sells the contract.
The bottom line is, and there's court cases on
And
this,
she has a,
to have a contract with the police chief is
It's
Right.
worthless.
stupid.
Yeah,
Because
it's
the
all,
They
it's-
protect them.
covers it, the statute covers it.
Right,
It
exactly.
says no, and there's been a court case that says no contract.
There's a
can
certain
supersede.
number of things that he can get fired on, or she can get fired on,
right,
like physical,
And that's
doing stupid stuff with money.
right.
Stuff like that, there's very limited. But the thing is, we told the chiefs, this is what we're gonna do, but then the board as an entity
Yeah.
changed its mind, which of course, as you probably can guess, didn't sit very well with the chiefs. So,
I don't know if it's that bad with the police chief, why it's that bad with the fire chief.
well, they both
well, they
were,
both didn't like it very much,
yeah, well, one,
because it was,
they got lied to, kind of.
yeah,
Well,
the way
that-
it was,
that
the
would
way it was
probably piss me
presented, and then what happened.
Yeah. And some of them are not necessarily their best friend, she isn't their best friend, so,
Yeah.
and as
Hasn't
you
she
know,
gotten better?
She
part of it's.
ruffles some
What?
feathers.
Hasn't she gotten somewhat better?
Yes, she has.
She seems to have.
I mean, I've heard people remark that she's really difficult at times. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard.
We've all heard those
Yeah,
remarks.
I mean, that she's a,
I have gotten along with her
I
really
think-
well since I started with her, but I realize there's a lot of issues.
I think, first of all, Tom has said that she can be difficult on issues, but he does not have a problem with her. He sometimes has a problem with her until she thinks something through and then they get back together. But generally, he doesn't have a problem. I think a town administrator is in a tough position because you three guys think that everybody answers to the town administrator. And, oh yeah, some selectmen really thought that, so they'd say to the town administrator, tell chief so-and-so to go do this. And that's not her position.
I agree, she has
to do.
no authority whatsoever.
She's just another department head.
Exactly,
Well,
exactly.
I think some lean on her quite a bit because she has all the answers and the rules and the laws and
Well, it's one thing
and
for
the
her to provide
deadlines and all that
information.
stuff.
Wait a minute.
So,
But it's one thing for her to provide information.
no, I know.
It's another thing for her to say, you will do this, or you will do that.
But they,
or-
but
And-
certain people
Certain selectmen
say,
over the years
have
have
her do
treated
it.
town administrators in
Yeah.
that
Not,
manner.
not now,
Not now.
not now. One of the things that used to happen is she used to sit in on all the department head interviews in terms of, not interviews, but evaluations. We don't allow that anymore, because it's the same thing you just said. She is employed just like everybody else. If they want to speak to us, they speak to us directly. They
Right.
don't go through her or whoever is in that
Now,
position.
she's
She
a town
initially
manager.
had-
The town voted to go to town manager
That's
system of government, that
different.
changes it.
That's different.
too much.
You have to have a population
She
of
had too
5,000.
much power.
You have to have a population of
But now that's
5,000.
You do?
Yes,
Well,
to go to a town
Remedy
manager.
people take power that
Well, what they
that
do
is
though
given
is
to- is
they
given to
they
them.
circumvent
That's what I was
that
just
Or
saying.
if there's a
by
vacuum, they
voting for
assume
town
it.
And there
council.
was,
Oh, well, that's another whole charter
Yes,
thing,
too
you have
much
to go
power
through it.
given.
Yeah, but you can circumvent it by going to
Yeah.
town.
If you want to
council.
go to town council, yeah.
So I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
transfers to the trust funds, we okay with all those? And it doesn't stop us from looking at these again.
Yeah, I think we should, the accrued benefit one, that bothers me, that you guys have allowed her to essentially rule the roost.
That's what, well, in terms of how much vacation time she takes,
Yeah,
that's
no, or how much you give her.
in her contract.
Well, change it. I mean, I don't know what she gets.
that's what we just went
Is that-
through.
is
He's
that-
tried.
Is that what, what does she get? Does she
The other
get 4
selectmen
weeks or
didn't vote
something?
for it.
I just by happened to have her employment contract. Because
Got it.
this thing
Sitting
irritates the hell out of me.
It should.
So, let's see. 6 months salary, paid health and dental benefits if we terminate her without cause.
Wait a minute, now, 6 months' salary, and then we have to pay for
And benefits,
all benefits, or does she's paying part of it?
health and dental benefits.
The town shall pay to the administrator lump sum severance payment equal to 6 months' salary, accumulated and unused vacation, and 6 months
What
paid
idiot
health.
signed this?
Wasn't me. This
That's
has been in-
outrageous.
This has been in effect since 2012.
That's
Sounded
outrageous.
like John LaCourse, Dave Cedarholm, and whoever the hell that is.
Who was it back then? Carol Dennis or?
I don't know who
Yeah,
that
it's
is.
Carol Dennis.
Is that Carol Dennis?
Yeah.
All right,
Carol Dennis
that's who
back
signed
there,
it.
back then.
So,
Who put she probably presented
Wrote it,
this.
sure, she wrote it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, so then,
she gets 25 days vacation per year. She
6
gets
weeks.
the same amount of sick leave as everybody else.
And how much can
and she hasn't
50.
used her.
how much can she accumulate? in
50.
50 days
Of
of,
sick leave.
Vacation.
vacation, 50 days.
And sick leave is
50
at the same rate as
days.
everybody else with whatever the restrictions are for sick leave.
50.
So, yeah, I want to
10
change
weeks.
this too.
It should be changed, sorry.
Well, it takes two, and if only one is amenable, not too much you can do
So
about
the
it.
other two right now are not.
Well, they're breaking the, I mean, look, you're gonna put the town in debt. Because at some point, she's gonna leave, I mean, you know, she's in a
Yeah.
dead-end position here. At some point, she's gonna wanna go to a larger town, I would think, or
I don't,
something.
I bet she
I don't
retires from
think so,
here.
I think she stays if,
You're kidding me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how old do you think she is?
Oh, I don't know,
50
in her
something.
50s?
57,
Oh, she's 57?
maybe
Something.
58 now.
You're 15 now.
Well-
She's a year older.
Well, I don't know when her birthday
Right,
is.
no, I know.
Do you guys have the sheet, the accrual sheet?
And I know that because she told me that,
Aha,
not because I did
Wow,
Snoopy.
what are you having conversations about a woman's age for?
I'm not, my wife was, because my wife is
Oh,
looking
you-
on the insurance,
Oh.
town insurance.
Oh,
And she was saying, well, I'm 57,
So-
you could go
She
on,
said,
yeah.
yeah, well, but she did, she said, I'm 57, I'm trying to look for
I don't have
it.
that sheet here. The sheet, the
That's
accrual
a-
sheet, in terms of how much, because it says how much each person is owed.
owed, in terms of,
Well, under the accrual, I think it's
Yeah, okay.
100%, so,
well, that's
So-
10 weeks. If she can say, get.
Am I supposed to be asking a question here?
yeah,
or-
you got all the questions,
Well, yeah, these, yeah.
so that'll take you.
Should I take this whole thing?
Yep, you can have that.
All right,
I'll print out another one.
and I got this, and I
I'm going
got
to adjourn.
this.
Yeah, me too, I gotta go home.
It's 9:30.
It's 9:30,
Oh, my God,
jeez.
it's 9:36.
Oh, he has a motion on the table.
I move
Second,
to adjourn.
second,
You
I
can't
move to
second it, you
adjourn.
say it.
Oh, can I move to adjourn?
Alice seconded it.
Second, did she second it?
Aye.
Oh, okay.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn, 9:36 PM.